Chapter 731. Su Ruyan sneaks into by Lake Mountain. Mount Sumerus Divine Light. _1 by Lake Mountain. Alchemy Room. Since Su Renguang had delivered 20 aquatic demon beasts, all of which had been refined into Blackwater Dragon spirit weapons, Lu Chongqing had yet another heavy burden added to his daily routine. Every 2 to 3 months, he would need to make a batch of spirit-nurturing elixirs, wisdom-opening elixirs, and ascending dragon elixirs. He felt it was absolutely necessary to hire an imperial alchemist. Otherwise, cultivating Dao soldiers by relying on his own alchemy skills was simply too troublesome. Huff huff huff. Dash at this moment, Lu Chongqing was sitting at his desk, holding a third-rank brush in hand, drawing talismans. Due to the demand for talismans by talisman formations, he had always maintained the habit of talisman making. So each time he made elixirs, during his free time, he would draw a few talismans. Lu Wangshu, dressed in a pink and white outfit with 2 buns in her hair, sat squatting next to the alchemy furnace, holding a banana leaf fan that was almost as big as herself, fanning towards the furnace opening. Her delicate, doll-like cheeks reddened by the fiery glow looked exceedingly cute. The sorrow of children comes quickly and leaves just as fast. Additionally, with plenty of playmates of the same age at school, Lu Wangshu quickly moved past the sadness of her mother Xiao Xia's departure. Having heard the day before last that her father Lu Chongqing was doing alchemy, she was full of curiosity and wanted to see what alchemy was like. After watching, she claimed that the alchemy masters in the picture books all had fan-bearing children, so she volunteered to be her daddy's fan-bearer to help with the alchemy. Lu Chongqing did not refuse his daughter's request. After all, children are playful and interested in new and novel things. Then, Lu Chongqing took out a top-grade magic artifact that was impervious to heat and cold from his storage bag and had someone buy a banana leaf fan for her to wave around and play with. Unexpectedly, the little girl actually took to it, and for 3 days straight, she did not tire of it. She would run to the alchemy room after returning from school, and also expressed that she wanted to learn alchemy. Wangshu, are you tired? At this time, Lu Chongqing had finished drawing the talisman and looked towards his precious daughter. Under the glow of the red fire, her tender little face was roasted red, and beads of sweat damped the hair on her forehead. Though they had magic artifacts that made them impervious to the cold and heat, without mana to activate them, merely carrying them did not provide real protection against the extremes. After all, this fire wasn't an ordinary flame, but earth vein fire. Daddy, I'm not tired. The little girl heard Lu Chongqing's words, immediately stood up and vigorously fanned the earth fire a few times, her voice crisp and clear. Hee, the elixir will take a while. Daddy will teach you how to make talismans. Lu Chongqing stood up, came to his daughter's side, caressed her head, and used his mana to dispel the sweat and heat from her forehead. Daddy, drawing talismans is too boring. I think it's not as interesting as alchemy or puppeteering. Lu Wangshu said so. In her school, they taught about formations, alchemy, talisman making, puppeteering, beast taming, spirit plants, and so on. But since she ate elixir medicines like candy on a daily basis and played with puppet toys in the family's playground, she was only interested in those 2 subjects. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing felt a chill in his heart. It would be rather awkward if his daughter had no interest in talisman making. Thinking that youth was the time to cultivate a child's interests and hobbies, and now that his daughter Lu Wangshu was also 8 years old, he should foster her interest in the talisman path. Otherwise, it would be a waste if a talisman path prodigy spent all her time indulging in fishing, and even in alchemy and puppeteering. It simply wouldn't be proper. He took out a stack of spirit talismans and said warmly, "How can drawing talismans be boring? Look at these talismans Daddy drew. They're all very interesting. This talisman can transform into a firebird, this one can whip up a fierce wind, this one can bring down heavenly thunder. Daddy, is there one that can make you fly?" Lu Wangshu, showing some interest upon hearing this, asked out loud. Yes. Lu Chongqing immediately responded, "Come, Daddy will draw you a talisman that you can use to fly." Subsequently, father and daughter sat in front of the desk, with Lu Chongqing drawing the flying ascension talisman under his daughter's watchful eyes. When Lu Chongqing completed the talisman, he slapped it onto his daughter's body and activated it with his mana, saying, "Now my dear girl, follow your feelings and control this energy, then you'll be able to fly on your own." Lu Wangshu followed his instructions with interest, and immediately found herself floating gently in the air. However, since she hadn't begun cultivation, She couldn't control the power and kept bumping around clumsily. But with the patient guidance of her father, she gradually got the hang of it and enjoyed herself immensely. Afterward, Lu Chongqing began drawing all kinds of interesting talismans like unveiling treasures, showing them to his daughter, who played tirelessly with them. After a long playtime, seeing that there was a hint of weariness in his daughter's eyes and brows, Lu Chongqing said warmly, "You're a bit tired, aren't you? Daddy will take you back to rest and sleep. But the elixir isn't finished yet. I want to stay with Daddy." Lu Wangshu, pointing at the alchemy furnace, said somewhat reluctantly. These past several days, she had come with the wish to see the elixir medicines completed. It will still take quite a while before it's done. Looking at the pill furnace, Lu Chongqing estimated that it would take another 2 to 3 hours before the pills would be ready. He rubbed his daughter's little head gently and said, "Why don't you go to sleep first, and when the elixirs are ready, Daddy will call you." "No, I don't want to. I want to be with Daddy. Carry me to sleep." Lu Wangshu spoke coquettishly. "You're such a big girl now." Lu Chongqing laughed doting, pinching his daughter's little nose. But he still picked her up and took her to the bench nearby, saying, "All right, go to sleep." Curling up in Lu Changsheng's arms like a little kitten, Lu Wangshu looked up at him with her bright, doe-like eyes, pitifully saying, "Daddy, I still want a sugar bean." "All right, after eating it, you have to sleep soundly." Chapter 732. Su Ruyan sneaks into by Lake Mountain, Mount Sumerus Divine Light. Lu Changsheng's expression was gentle as he took out a bottle of cultivation-nurturing elixir and poured out a pill coated with honey, handing it to his daughter. "Daddy, I am going to sleep. You must remember to call me." The little girl ate the elixir, and immediately a sweet smile blossomed, her eyes turning into crescent shapes. After speaking, she obediently closed her eyes. It wasn't long before the child in his arms began breathing evenly. She was obviously a bit tired just now. Lu Chongqing watched his daughter sleeping peacefully in his arms, smiled, and continued crafting symbols. The night was deep and tranquil, with a clear moon and a gentle breeze. A few miles from Bai Lake Mountain, a shadow flashed by swiftly. Elder Hong Lian. The shadow looked at Bai Lake Mountain under the moonlight, a quiet expanse, and spoke in his mind. "Take out all the materials, and I will cast the seamless celestial clothes divine technique for you." A clear and ethereal voice rang out. Su Ruyan immediately took out the prepared spiritual materials from her storage bag. Buzz! All the materials arose into the air, circulating around Su Ruyan, beginning to melt. They spread like a mist, transforming into a vestment robe that enveloped her entire body. In an instant, Su Ruyan's presence abruptly drew in, without revealing the slightest aura. Her whole being gradually faded into stealth, without a trace to be seen. "With my seamless celestial clothes divine technique, as long as you are careful and do not make too much commotion, even if Bai Lake Mountain has a nascent soul immortal stationed, it would be difficult to detect your existence," the voice continued. "However, this seamless celestial clothes divine technique can only last for 3 hours. Within these 3 hours, you must take the heaven-ranked demon beast and leave the boundaries of Bai Lake Mountain." The ethereal voice spoke to Su Ruyan. "Thank you, Elder Hong Lian." Hearing this, Su Ruyan clenched her fists, her dark eyes ablaze with intense flames. Then, she flew swiftly towards Bai Lake Mountain. Before long, she arrived at the outskirts of Bai Lake Mountain's great formation. Gazing at the hazy and pristine aura of the formation's spiritual light, Su Ruyan took a deep breath and tentatively reached out her hand. She could sense the profound power of the formation, like an impenetrable wall blocking her path. But at the next moment, a shimmering light enveloped her body, allowing her arm to pass through the Bai Lake Mountain's great formation as though penetrating water. Truly worthy of Elder Hong Lian, such a technique is astonishing. Seeing this, Su Ruyan was taken aback and then proceeded to pass through the great formation into Bai Lake Mountain. Phew! Looking at the scenery of Bai Lake Mountain before her, Su Ruyan exhaled a long breath. Even with Elder Hong Lian's aid, the prospect of infiltrating Bai Lake Mountain, and its second-ranked top-notch great formation, still made her nervous. Afterwards, Su Ruyan closed her eyes and operated the beast technique, sensing the aura of spiritual beasts, and turned her gaze towards Bai Yun Peak. "Elder Hong Lian, I sense that the heaven-ranked demon beast is on the main peak of Bai Lake Mountain." Hong Lian, looking at Bai Yun Peak, felt an inexplicable sense of unease from the mountain. Elder Hong Lian, what's wrong? Su Ruyan noticed something was off with the Hong Lian in her mind. It's nothing, aside from the Great Formation. There might be other measures on this mountain. Be very careful and act quickly, Hong Lian said solemnly. The seamless celestial clothes has already consumed a lot of power when breaking through the formation just now, so in theory, you have only 1 hour left. Although Hong Lian sensed something amiss about the mountain, she could not simply leave because of it. Because Su Ruyan's growth was also pivotal to her future. Only by Su Ruyan contracting with a heaven-ranked demon beast and forming a heavenly beast Dao foundation could she have a considerable chance to break through to the nascent soul and allow herself to be revived. I understand, Elder Hong Lian. Su Ruyan nodded rapidly and rushed towards Bai Yun Peak. She had lived in Bai Lake Mountain for 5 days and had already grasped the general situation here. Moreover, she had simulated the plan for this night countless times in her mind. With the seamless celestial clothes, the patrolling cultivators of Bai Lake Mountain failed to notice Su Ruyan's presence. Guided by the hint of the heaven-ranked demon beast's aura from the beast technique, Su Ruyan reached Bai Yun Peak at maximum speed. However, as she continued to follow the scent up the mountain after reaching Bai Yun Peak, the Mount Sumeru tree king on Bai Yun Peak rustled its leaves, which were akin to gold and jade. Inside the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, someone has infiltrated? Ling Zixiao, who was resting, snapped awake upon hearing the words of the Mount Sumeru tree king. She hastily checked the array plate. But the azure water heavenly blue great formation of Bai Lake Mountain was functioning normally at the moment, without any peculiarities. However, the elder Mount Sumeru in front of her would not speak falsely. Could it be that a nascent soul immortal has infiltrated Bai Lake Mountain? Ling Zixiao's elegant visage showed a look of solemnity. The Great Formation of Bai Lake Mountain is a second-tier top-level Great Formation. Even nascent soul immortals would have difficulty infiltrating it silently and unnoticed. However, it cannot be ruled out that some nascent soul immortals with certain methods could silently enter within. Just like before with Xiaofan money, the reason he could attack Bai Lake Mountain was also because he had a treasure that could break through prohibitions. Mount Sumeru predecessor, what is the cultivation level of the other party? Ling Zixiao immediately asked the Mount Sumeru tree king. It seems to be energy refining cultivator level? The voice of the Mount Sumeru tree king, clear and ethereal, carried a hint of uncertainty. Although it could sense Su Ruyan's traces. But this aura was faint and elusive, making it difficult for even it to capture clearly. Energy refining? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao's face showed a moment of shock, her expression etched with incredulity. Had she not known that the tree king before her was not one for jesting, she might have thought the other party was teasing her. How could an energy-refining cultivator infiltrate Bai Lake Mountain silently and without notice? Could the other party have used some kind of secret technique or treasure to sneak into our Bai Lake Mountain, concealing their cultivation level? Can the predecessor suppress them within the cave heaven? Ling Zixiao said seriously. Although the Mount Sumeru tree king mentioned the intruder was only an energy-refining cultivator, she did not believe it at all. She suspected it was a nascent soul immortal who had sneaked in using a secret technique, causing even this Mount Sumeru predecessor to fail in pinpointing their exact location. Therefore, at this time, she had to take swift and decisive action to catch the other party completely by surprise. After all, she also knew that within this Mount Sumeru cave heaven, no one could be a match for this Mount Sumeru predecessor unless a nascent soul true lord personally came. And currently in the entire cultivation world of Jiang country, only the Heavenly Sword sect had a nascent soul true lord present. Is that so? It shouldn't be difficult. If the other party is a nascent soul cultivator, the commotion might be quite significant. After hearing Ling Zixiao's words, the voice of the Mount Sumeru tree king also had a hint of hesitation. Indeed, as Ling Zixiao said, such an elusive aura did not seem like someone from the Qi refinement stage. Were it truly the core formation stage, the suppression through the Mount Sumeru mandala barrier would indeed cause a significant disturbance. A significant disturbance? Upon hearing this, Ling Zixiao immediately took out a yin-yang sensing talisman and informed Lu Chongsheng of the matter. In the alchemy room, Lu Chongsheng, who was holding his daughter, furrowed his brow upon receiving the message. His thoughts immediately turned to Xiahou Wuwa of the Xiahou family. Through the Qingyun sect, he learned that the Xiahou money he had killed was known as Xiahou Wuxia, one of the core members of the Xiahou family, and the brother of the fugitive false core, Xiahou Wuwa. Given the Xiahou family's characteristic of vengeful nature, this Xiahou Wuwa might have infiltrated by Lake Mountain for revenge. Suppress immediately. Lu Changsheng's divine sense transmitted directly to the Mount Sumeru Tree King. Then he stabilized his sleeping daughter with mana, gently placed her on the long bench, and used a soundproof talisman on her. Next, he sent several spells towards the pill furnace to temporarily seal the elixir medicines, sacrificing their quality, and then stepped out of the alchemy room. At this very moment, Su Ruyan, through her aura, arrived at a courtyard inn by Yun Peak. She saw that in the center of the pond in the backyard, amidst the swirling coldness, a mysterious turtle with an icy blue body was coiled. It was the cold blue dark turtle. Upon seeing this mysterious turtle, Su Ruyan's pupils abruptly contracted to the size of pinpoints. Deep in her beautiful eyes, a fervent desire welled up, turning her dark eyes a fiery red, as if flames were burning within them. Finally! Su Ruyan gazed at the cold blue dark turtle, her lips barely moving. After all the hardship and effort, she was finally in close proximity to a heaven-ranked demon beast, and she was overwhelmingly excited. At this moment, the beast technique within her began to operate involuntarily. However, just then, all of a sudden, under the night sky, atop by Yun Peak, a golden jade brilliance flooded the area. A glass-like golden light shot towards Su Ruyan like a torrent. A presence surpassing heaven-ranked demon beasts. This. Could it be the legendary true spirit? How is this possible? At the moment Hong Lian sensed the aureole of glass-like golden light, she, who was always calm and composed, with a gentle and elegant voice, clear and pure, was taken aback and lost her composure. What true spirit? Su Ruyan heard Hong Lian's voice and also noticed the aureole of glass-like golden light coming from the sky. But before she could react, she felt the world around her spin, and she vanished on the spot. At the same time, the golden jade light at the peak of Bai Yun Mountain disappeared without a trace. Bai Yun Peak, once again, returned to calm. Chapter 733. Inspector Su Ruyan under 1. What is this place? Su Ruyan opened her eyes amidst a dizzying whirl. The scenery before her had completely changed, clearly not within by Lake Mountain. Apart from a majestic palace and a pond, all around and above her was shrouded in gray mist. But in the next moment, she felt her entire body restrained, unable to move the slightest bit. Ancestor Hong Lian, where are we? What was that true spirit you just mentioned? Su Ruyan hastily inquired of Hong Lian in her mind. Even though she was mature beyond her years and unusual compared to others, she too was somewhat at a loss in face of such a situation. Moreover, when the divine light fell just a moment ago, even the usually calm and composed ancestor Hong Lian cried out in alarm, visibly shaken, which truly unsettled her. After all, she dared to break into by Lake Mountain to steal a heaven-ranked demon beast, relying on this ancestor Hong Lian. This should be a cave heaven treasure, or possibly inside the body of a demon beast. This palace sensed an aura surpassing that of heaven-ranked demon beasts during the event just now. It could very well be the legendary true spirit demon beast. Hong Lian stated gravely. Her voice was no longer as ethereal and gentle, now filled with a sense of gravity. Even though she was once a nascent soul true lord and had witnessed countless great scenes, facing such a situation, her heart was also overwhelmed with shock and astonishment. If this situation had occurred within the cave dwelling or clan territory of a nascent soul true lord, she would not have been so astounded. But the problem was that Bai Lake Mountain was merely a spiritual land owned by a Foundation establishment family. A Foundation establishment family not only had a heaven-ranked demon beast, but also possessed a cave heaven treasure and a true spirit aura, an utterly shocking revelation. Thinking of all the information she had obtained from Su Ruyan regarding Lu Chongqing, including how the heaven-ranked demon beast was used as a playmate for the children in the family, she dared not hesitate any longer. She immediately told Su Ruyan, "Girl, we must not stay here long. Open your heart and mind." "Yes, Ancestor Hong Lian." Upon hearing these words, Su Ruyan responded immediately. At that moment, Ling Zixiao stepped out of Chongqing Hall. She looked towards Su Ruyan, clad in a black bodysuit and immobilized in the air, and demanded sternly, "Who are you?" Boom! Suddenly, a fearsome and majestic magic aura spread from Su Ruyan's body. In the depths of her dark enticing eyes, 2 red lotuses emerged, blooming and dyeing her pupils with a fiery red color that made her eyes seem seductively bizarre. Foundation Establishment Early Stage. Foundation establishment middle stage. Foundation establishment late stage. Foundation establishment peak. False core. Boom boom boom. Su Ruyan's mana aura climbed relentlessly. Within a short time, it escalated from the peak of chi refinement to the level of false core, yearning to break free from the constraints binding her and to flee this place. Ha! Ling Zixiao, witnessing this, felt a sudden shock and quickly called out, "Mount Sumeru, ancestor!" Boom boom boom. Immediately within Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, a terrifying force of heavenly earthly confinement began to descend upon Su Ruyan, causing her body to feel heavy and her mana within to sink like a stone in the sea, unable to circulate even a little bit. True spirit, it really is the aura of a true spirit. We are inside a demon beast. How could this be possible? The mountain master of By Lake Mountain is only at the foundation establishment cultivation. How could there be a true spirit demon beast reigning over this spiritual land? Though this demon beast is not powerful, being merely a youngling, but Su Ruyan, sensing this horrifying demonic power, was full of alarm in her voice. Boom! She didn't dare to think too much, as the mana aura within her continued to surge and escalate, exuding a pressure comparable to core formation, causing Ling Zixiao to feel as if the space around them was solidifying. However, just as the mana aura began to spread, a vast and profound force of heavenly earthly confinement fell upon her, making Su Ruyan feel heavy. All mana, her chi ocean core, everything was suppressed and sealed, unable to circulate at all. At that moment, Hong Lian's heart sank to the bottom of the valley. She knew she had been trapped. This young true spirit was not something she could compare with in her current state. Just then, faint ripples appeared in the void. A handsome young man with an upright figure, wearing a green robe, emerged. Is this an inspector? Lu Chongqing arrived at Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. Seeing the figure in a black bodysuit in the air, he was momentarily stunned. He had thought that Xiahou Wuwa had infiltrated their home. But upon seeing the figure immobilized in mid-air in an X shape, he immediately thought of the Inspector series from a previous life. The figure wore a black bodysuit that wrapped tightly around the body, leaving only the eyes exposed. But this tight outfit perfectly highlighted her curvaceous and attractive figure, especially the entire person, presenting an X shape. Even though her face was not visible, just from the graceful figure alone, she exuded a different kind of allure. My lord, Ling Zixiao, seeing Lu Chongqing come over, immediately reported the recent events to him. Mount Sumeru. Upon hearing this, Lu Chongqing called out at once. Rip! As Lu Chongqing's voice sounded, Mount Sumeru Tree King immediately received the command, and its demonic power surged. Before their eyes, the immobilized Su Ruyan in the black bodysuit ripped apart with a rip. As the black bodysuit shattered, the features of the inspector were revealed. Flaming red silky hair, an exquisitely beautiful face, eyes clear and cold with the appearance of two blooming red lotuses, mysterious and elegant. Her alluring and provocative figure was scantily clad in just a red gold-threaded phoenix-embroidered undergarment, revealing a swath of white jade skin from her slender neck. Below that was the fullness of her bounteous pride. Even through the undergarment, its impressive form was apparent. Smooth and flat belly, with a waist so slender and delicate. At her waist, the underpants could not fully hide the round and ample curves of her behind. And a pair of legs like creamy white jade, long and slender yet strong and firm, proportioned perfectly with her figure. Chapter 734. Inspector Su Ruyan. Ling Zixiao gently caressed Su Ruyan's skin as she spoke. Underneath Ling Zixiao's palm, Su Ruyan felt goosebumps erupt all over her body upon hearing those words. At that moment, she realized that the rumors about Lu Chongqing in the outside world were mistaken. The other party was definitely not any kind of gentleman. Otherwise, why would he become Dao companions with such a woman? To think she had just sought help from her, only to find this woman to be even worse than Lu Chongqing. A veritable witch, a demoness. Miss Su, are you still unwilling to speak? Hearing Ling Zixiao's words, Lu Chongqing's eyes narrowed slightly as he said in a cold voice. He too was pondering how to deal with Su Ruyan before him. As Ling Zixiao had said, since the other party knew about the Mount Sumeru Tree King, she definitely could not be allowed to leave alive. As for killing her? He remembered that the Su Ruyan before him possessed a 4th-grade spiritual root. A female cultivator with a 4th-grade spiritual root would indeed make for a fine breeding partner, a shame to kill. Moreover, following the plot of the inspector, infiltrating and failing, becoming a captive, and then being taken by oneself, that seemed reasonable, didn't it? However, his first priority was to clear up the soul within Su Ruyan. After all, compared to a soul capable of advancing Su Ruyan from chi refinement to core formation, her issue seemed trivial. Just kill me. Su Ruyan continued to speak through gritted teeth. Her face showed the resolute expression of someone resigned to death, exuding an air of nobility and dignity that could not be violated. Hee. Does Miss Su really wish for death so earnestly? Lu Chongqing laughed lightly, enjoying the presence of a strict and noble young lady like her. If she had submitted to him at first sight, he would have found it boring. While speaking, he lifted Su Ruyan's chin and appraised her. If you behave, perhaps Lu might grant you a way out? You wanted a demon beast, didn't you? If there's one thing Lu has in abundance, it's demon beasts. Look, what's this? Having said this, Lu Chongqing slapped the spiritual beast bag and the six-winged golden silkworm appeared, emanating a brutal and bloodthirsty aura at his side. Don't you desire to seek justice for your father? Are you really content to die here like this? If you're willing to obey, maybe Lu would be willing to avenge you in the future, to help you obtain justice for your father. Lu Changsheng's voice was deep and tempting. This? Su Ruyan opened her eyes wide, looking at the six-winged golden silkworm. Her cultivation technique, beast technique, was sensitive to the aura of demon beasts, allowing her to sense their bloodline potential to some extent. Therefore, through her beast technique, she instantly knew this was a spiritual insect with heaven-rank bloodline potential. Looking at the six-winged golden silkworm before her and listening to Lu Changsheng's words, even though Su Ruyan knew he was deceiving her, her heart couldn't help waver slightly. After all, she was currently facing a desperate situation. And Lu Changsheng's words had sparked some hope within her, a desire to survive. Because she truly didn't wish to die here. As a child, she was discovered to possess a fourth-grade spiritual root and showed an affinity for pet beasts, exhibiting a remarkable talent for beast taming. She subsequently found an ancient beast taming charm and even received guidance from a senior. Her life was meant to be extraordinary, achieving core formation, even nascent soul, and standing at the peak of the cultivation world. How could she be willing to die here? Girl, adapt to the circumstances. At this time, a pleasant sigh resonated within Su Ruyan's mind. It was the voice of Hong Lian. She knew that facing such a situation, it would be difficult to escape opportunistically using the ancient charm. Moreover, Lu Chongqing before her might have already sensed her presence, so she too had abandoned any attempt to hide. Furthermore, based on Su Ruyan's rough introduction about Lu Chongqing, the presence of two young demon beasts with heavenly grade bloodlines and a young true spirit made her suspect something. Hee. Lu Chongqing saw the struggle in Su Ruyan's eyes. He knew she wasn't truly prepared to embrace death. Or rather, Su Ruyan had never imagined she would fail or become a captive on this mission. Since she didn't truly possess the desire to die, everything became much easier to handle. Miss Su, are you here to steal my spiritual beasts? Lu Chongqing wore a smile, inquiring in a gentle, refined manner, like that of a modest gentleman. This question was obvious. What he wanted was for Su Ruyan to speak up. Many things happen only once or countless times. Once Su Ruyan spoke for the first time, everything thereafter would become much simpler. Chapter 735. Your grandpa is so beautiful. Now he's mine. Under one, Su Ruyan gazed at Lu Changsheng's peerlessly handsome features, listening to his voice, gentle as the winter sun, feeling as though she were basked in the warmth of a spring breeze. Her agitated heart involuntarily calmed down. She felt that Lu Chongqing harbored no blame towards her at all. It was purely a matter of her having done something wrong, and an affectionate elder was patiently instructing her. She knew it was an illusion, that Lu Chongqing was employing some technique on her, but she still responded in a soft voice. Yes. Seeing this, a hint of a smile appeared in both Lu Chongqing and Ling Zixio's eyes. Knowing that Su Ruyan had relented, the matter would be easier to handle. Was it because of the matter with the spiritual beasts that Miss Su observed Lu so intently back at Wugong Ridge Zhang family? Lu Chongqing continued to speak, his voice smooth as jade, persuasive and gentle. Yes. With Miss Su's family background, surely you aren't lacking in spiritual beasts, right? Didn't Patriarch Su prepare for you the Earth-grade bloodline spirit beast fire python tiger and heavenly fire mink before? Lu Changsheng's face showed a warm smile, as he smoothed Su Ruyan's somewhat disordered fiery red hair, tucking it behind her ear. Her hair felt glossy and soft to the touch, very pleasant to the fingers. Su Ruyan bit her lips until they turned somewhat pale, a struggle evident in her eyes as she said, "Because I need a heavenly ranked demon beast." Though heavenly ranked demon beasts are indeed rare, the mysterious turtle spirit beast in Lu's home is merely at the initial stage of first grade. Even if Miss Su took it, cultivating it to maturity would take decades, maybe even a century, and during this time, it probably wouldn't be of any help to Miss Su, right? So why would Miss Su go to such lengths to do this? Lu Chongqing continued to inquire. This was the point he found most perplexing. Heavenly rank bloodline demon beasts were indeed rare and precious. But cultivating them was also extremely difficult. Especially the cold blue dark turtle from his family, known to be a turtle-type demon beast, notoriously slow-growing. Su Ruyan, by stealing it, aiming to nurture it to second rank, potent enough to be an ally, would need at least decades. And yet, here she was, at the pinnacle of qi refinement, not breaking through to foundation establishment at home, but instead attempting to steal at his place, making him suspect other reasons. Hearing this, Su Ruyan's spirit trembled. She bit her lips tightly and then slowly closed her eyes. The heavenly ranked demon beast was linked to her cultivation technique beast technique. Her true secret, one she was unwilling to reveal. "Miss Su, are you unwilling to speak?" Lu Chongqing chuckled, his palm caressing Su Ruyan's smooth cheek and sliding down to her slender neck, saying, "It seems this heavenly rank spirit beast must be tied to some other important secret. Could it be related to the mighty soul within Miss Su?" Lu Chongqing said this. Under Lu Changsheng's gentle touch, Su Ruyan felt a soft numbness throughout her body, biting her lips to death. But at his words, her pupils shrank sharply, and a look of terror appeared in her beautiful eyes. She had not expected Lu Chongqing to know of the existence of Elder Hong Lian. Compared to the beast technique, Elder Hong Lian was her greatest secret. Aside from herself, not a second person knew of this secret. But now, it had been spoken by Lu Chongqing. A soul within the body? Ling Zixiao, who was nearby, heard this, looked at Su Ruyan's expression, and also showed surprise, contemplating deeply. She had been pondering, how could an energy-refining cultivator's magic aura suddenly rise to rival core formation? Even with some rare artifact, it wouldn't be so exaggerated. Now hearing Lu Changsheng's words, realization dawned on her. To temporarily elevate an energy-refining cultivator's cultivation level to core formation, at least it must be that of a nascent soul true lord, right? Ling Zixiao felt a chill of fear and suspicion. If it weren't for the Mount Sumeru Tree King residing at home, facing such an entity, the consequences would have been unimaginable. It seems, Lu has guessed correctly, hasn't he? Clad in a light blue brocade robe, Lu Changsheng's attractive face wore an inviting smile, as comforting as a spring day, captivating to anyone who looked upon him. "No, it's for myself. The cultivation technique I am practicing requires a contract with a heavenly ranked demon beast." Su Ruyan opened her eyes, breathing slightly, and said. Now that Elder Hong Lian's matter had been sensed by Lu Chongqing, she knew there was no need to hide anymore. She could only hope, after revealing her situation, that Lu Chongqing would, as previously said, spare her. "Oh, the cultivation technique requires a contract with a heavenly ranked demon beast?" Lu Chongqing heard this and frowned slightly. He had not expected there to be such a cultivation technique. Nevertheless, he did not doubt her words. After all, he possessed several peripheral sect-level and orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Knowing that the types of cultivation techniques were diverse and strange, Su Ruyan's must be some sort of beast-taming cultivation technique, related to spiritual beasts. Does it mean a contract must be made with a heavenly ranked demon beast to break through the realm? If so, that's rather harsh. Could it be? The higher the latent potential of the contracted spirit beast's bloodline, the better the Tao foundation that is condensed, the more solid the basis? Lu Chongqing pondered to himself. He roughly guessed why Su Ruyan hadn't broken through to foundation establishment and was in such a hurry to steal a spirit beast from his place. It was likely related to her advancement from qi refinement to foundation establishment. For a cultivator, the Tao foundation formed during the break from energy refinement to foundation establishment is of utmost importance. Once the Tao foundation is established, unless one breaks the foundation and starts over, It cannot be reformed or improved. If your Tao foundation is inferior, so are your combat abilities and potential. Even if you later obtain top-tier cultivation techniques, the foundation will still be affected by the quality of the Tao foundation. For average cultivators, this is not a big deal. For them, being able to break through to foundation establishment is already a blessing. But Su Ruyan, who is exceptionally gifted and harbors a mighty soul within her, would certainly take this step very seriously, striving to do her best. Chapter 736. Your grandpa is really beautiful. Now he's mine. So that's how it is. Lu Chongqing nodded and said with a smile, "Let me guess, it must be the bloodline rank of the spiritual beasts that concerns Miss Zu's breakthrough at the foundation establishment stage, the quality of her Tao foundation, and her future potential. After all, with Miss Zu's talent and fortuitous encounters, the future holds at least core formation, if not nascent soul. How could she be content with using an earth-grade bloodline spiritual beast to condense her Tao foundation? Therefore, when Miss Su sensed that I possess a heavenly rank bloodline spiritual beast, she thought to obtain a heavenly rank spirit beast through me for her breakthrough, which is why she resorted to such thievery." Lu Chongqing spoke unhurriedly, his face wearing a light smile. Upon hearing this, Su Ruyan was taken aback. She had not expected that by merely mentioning her cultivation technique required a contract with a heavenly ranked demon beast, Lu Chongqing would guess the general situation of her beast technique. Her lips pursed, she responded coldly, "That's right, so what if it is?" "No, so what? I think it is quite reasonable and normal," Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle. "In the cultivation world, when faced with an opportunity, one must not miss it. One must fight and scramble for it by oneself. Only by doing so can one travel far on the path of cultivation. Miss Zu's actions are not at all improper. It is just that you encountered me, hence your current predicament." Su Ruyan was momentarily stunned by Lu Changsheng's words. She had not expected him to actually approve of her actions. A mix of indescribable emotions surged within her heart. If it were me, faced with such an opportunity, I would certainly think of a way to snatch it. "There's no need for Miss Su to feel embarrassed," Lu Chongqing said with a chuckle, pinching Su Ruyan's delicately beautiful cheek. "Is that so?" At these words, Su Ruyan's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of bewilderment. Indeed, the cultivation world is such, where the strong prey on the weak, without reasoning. But deep down, she still knew that this kind of behavior was inappropriate. However, hearing Lu Changsheng's words like this, she felt somewhat less guilty. She even thought that Lu Chongqing might not be that bad, quite understanding, and wouldn't be too harsh on her. Perhaps if she cooperated and behaved, he might really let her go. However, the principle remains, "But Miss Su, before committing such an act, you must have been prepared for the consequences, right?" Lu Changsheng's palm slid from her soft and tender cheek down to her slender neck, delicate collarbone, and then to the full pride beneath the golden phoenix lingerie. He then grasped a difficult-to-hold snowy part, letting the rich creamy white jade overflow at his fingertips. Boom! As Lu Changsheng's warm hand assaulted her sensitive spot, Su Ruyan's mind went blank, her gaze somewhat scattered. Although she was mature in mind, she had never experienced such matters between men and women before. Ling Zixio's palm had roamed her body, but as a woman, she could barely endure it. But now, the hand of a strange man tightly grasped her full pride, leaving her mind blank and somewhat at a loss. Her body, though restrained and hard to move, seemed electrified at this moment, her long beautiful legs straight as jade, the toes of her feet tensed. You said if I behaved, you would let me go," Su Ruyan said with a tremble, lowering her beautiful eyes and enduring the shame. Just a moment ago, her heart had grown somewhat fond and accepting of Lu Chongqing. But his current actions completely disrupted her thoughts, and she could no longer converse calmly with Lu Chongqing. "That's right, I did say that as long as you behave, I will let you go, and I might even give you a heavenly ranked demon beast to seek justice for your father. But this will depend on whether Miss Su is obedient enough," Lu Chongqing said softly in Su Ruyan's ear as he played with the fullness in his hand and leaned in close. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Changsheng's behavior, scolding him with her eyes. She knew Lu Chongqing was lustful but would not descend into extreme indecency. Nevertheless, seeing his frivolous actions, they appeared to her as smooth and natural, not at all contrived. "Lu Chongqing, just kill me." Su Ruyan, her body tingling, a strong sense of shame erupting from her heart, shouted loudly. She felt she must have been delirious to have believed that Lu Chongqing before her was considerate and trustworthy. Alas, why must you be like this, Miss Su? Lu Chongqing sighed slightly and said, however, since you wish to die, I will grant your wish. Poochie. The next moment, Su Ruyan saw Lu Chongqing before her suddenly turn expressionless, and with a swift motion, a flying sword was conjured, beheading her. Blood splattered, and her head rolled to the ground. Her own eyes reflected an unbelievable shock, staring in death. Her consciousness began to blur, and darkness surrounded her. Ruyan! Little Een! From within the darkness, she seemed to hear calls. One scene after another appeared before her. Grandpa, father, mother. Su Tiandu. Su Ruyan watched as the scenes unfolded before her eyes. She recalled when she was young and discovered to have a fourth-grade spiritual root and an affinity with pet beasts, swearing to become the pride of her family. She recalled when she was young, seeing her father crippled in the family competition, and vowed to seek justice for him. She remembered after starting cultivation, finding an ancient beast taming charm and receiving guidance from a nascent soul predecessor, aspiring to nascent soul, vowing to become Jiang country's #1 cultivator. But now, all of these turned into nothing more than fleeting dreams. At this moment, Su Ruyan felt an intense desire for survival. She wanted to break free from the abyss of death, to live well and be the pride of her parents, her grandfather, and her family. To seek justice for her father, to become a nascent soul true lord, and to fulfill the promise made with Hong Lian. However, just then, the ancient beast taming charm in her mind flashed with a hint of colorful light, and a cooling sensation surged into her brain. Crash! The surrounding scenes burst like bubbles, shattering into nothingness. Chapter 737. Your grandpa is really beautiful. Now he's mine. So that's how it is. Lu Chongqing nodded and said with a smile, let me guess, it must be the bloodline rank of the spiritual beasts that concerns Miss Zu's breakthrough at the foundation establishment stage, the quality of her Tao foundation, and her future potential. After all, with Miss Zu's talent and fortuitous encounters, the future holds at least core formation, if not nascent soul. How could she be content with using an earth-grade bloodline spiritual beast to condense her Tao foundation? Therefore, when Miss Su sensed that I possess a heavenly rank bloodline spiritual beast, she thought to obtain a heavenly rank spirit beast through me for her breakthrough, which is why she resorted to such thievery. Lu Chongqing spoke unhurriedly, his face wearing a light smile. Upon hearing this, Su Ruyan was taken aback. She had not expected that by merely mentioning her cultivation technique required a contract with a heavenly ranked demon beast, Lu Chongqing would guess the general situation of her beast technique. Her lips pursed, she responded coldly. That's right, so what if it is? No, so what? I think it is quite reasonable and normal, Lu Chongqing said with a light chuckle. In the cultivation world, when faced with an opportunity, one must not miss it. One must fight and scramble for it by oneself. Only by doing so can one travel far on the path of cultivation. Miss Zu's actions are not at all improper. It is just that you encountered me, hence your current predicament. Su Ruyan was momentarily stunned by Lu Chongqing's words. She had not expected him to actually approve of her actions. A mix of indescribable emotions surged within her heart. If it were me, faced with such an opportunity, I would certainly think of a way to snatch it. There's no need for Miss Su to feel embarrassed, Lu Chongqing said with a chuckle, pinching Su Ruyan's delicately beautiful cheek. Is that so? At these words, Su Ruyan's beautiful eyes revealed a trace of bewilderment. Indeed, the cultivation world is such, where the strong prey on the weak, without reasoning. But deep down, she still knew that this kind of behavior was inappropriate. However, hearing Lu Chongqing's words like this, she felt somewhat less guilty. She even thought that Lu Chongqing might not be that bad, quite understanding, and wouldn't be too harsh on her. Perhaps if she cooperated and behaved, he might really let her go. However, the principle remains. But Miss Su, before committing such an act, you must have been prepared for the consequences, right? Lu Chongqing's palm slid from her soft and tender cheek down to her slender neck, delicate collarbone, and then to the full pride beneath the golden phoenix lingerie. He then grasped a difficult-to-hold snowy part, letting the rich creamy white jade overflow at his fingertips. Boom! As Lu Chongqing's warm hand assaulted her sensitive spot, Su Ruyan's mind went blank, her gaze somewhat scattered. Although she was mature in mind, she had never experienced such matters between men and women before. Ling Zixio's palm had roamed her body, but as a woman, she could barely endure it. But now, the hand of a strange man tightly grasped her full pride, leaving her mind blank and somewhat at a loss. Her body, though restrained and hard to move, seemed electrified at this moment, her long beautiful legs straight as jade, the toes of her feet tensed. You said if I behaved, you would let me go, Su Ruyan said with a tremble, lowering her beautiful eyes and enduring the shame. Just a moment ago, her heart had grown somewhat fond and accepting of Lu Chongqing. But his current actions completely disrupted her thoughts, and she could no longer converse calmly with Lu Chongqing. That's right, I did say that as long as you behave, I will let you go, and I might even give you a heavenly-ranked demon beast to seek justice for your father. But this will depend on whether Miss Su is obedient enough, Lu Chongqing said softly in Su Ruyan's ear as he played with the fullness in his hand and leaned in close. Ling Zixiao watched Lu Chongqing's behavior, scolding him with her eyes. She knew Lu Chongqing was lustful but would not descend into extreme indecency. Nevertheless, seeing his frivolous actions, they appeared to her as smooth and natural, not at all contrived. Lu Chongqing, just kill me. Su Ruyan, her body tingling, a strong sense of shame erupting from her heart, shouted loudly. She felt she must have been delirious to have believed that Lu Chongqing before her was considerate and trustworthy. Alas, why must you be like this, Miss Su? Lu Chongqing sighed slightly and said, however, since you wish to die, I will grant your wish. Poochie! The next moment, Su Ruyan saw Lu Chongqing before her suddenly turn expressionless, and with a swift motion, a flying sword was conjured, beheading her. Blood splattered, and her head rolled to the ground. Her own eyes reflected an unbelievable shock, staring in death. Her consciousness began to blur, and darkness surrounded her. Ruyan! Little Een! From within the darkness, she seemed to hear calls. One scene after another appeared before her. Grandpa, father, mother. Su Tiandu. Su Ruyan watched as the scenes unfolded before her eyes. She recalled when she was young and discovered to have a fourth-grade spiritual root and an affinity with pet beasts, swearing to become the pride of her family. She recalled when she was young, seeing her father crippled in the family competition, and vowed to seek justice for him. She remembered after starting cultivation, finding an ancient beast taming charm and receiving guidance from a nascent soul predecessor, aspiring to nascent soul, vowing to become Jiang country's #1 cultivator. But now, all of these turned into nothing more than fleeting dreams. At this moment, Su Ruyan felt an intense desire for survival. She wanted to break free from the abyss of death, to live well and be the pride of her parents, her grandfather, and her family. To seek justice for her father, to become a nascent soul true lord, and to fulfill the promise made with Hong Lian. However, just then, the ancient beast taming charm in her mind flashed with a hint of colorful light, and a cooling sensation surged into her brain. Crash! The surrounding scenes burst like bubbles, shattering into nothingness. Chapter 738. Your grandpa is truly beautiful. Now he's mine. Su Ruyan suddenly opened her eyes and saw Lu Chongqing, who appeared noble and gentle before her. A chill spread through her heart, and she instantly knew that the scene she had just witnessed was an illusion. You woke up so soon? Lu Chongqing raised an eyebrow as he looked at Su Ruyan before him. He had just used a third-rank illusion heart talisman on Su Ruyan. He had thought that she would be lost in the illusion, experiencing the pain of life and death, various scenes. Waiting for her soul, vulnerabilities, and flaws to be exposed and shattered in the illusion, her spirit weak, he planned to slowly train her at that point. But he had not expected Su Ruyan to struggle free from the illusion heart talisman so quickly. He realized that it must be the mighty soul within her causing trouble. Otherwise, with Su Ruyan's peak qi refinement cultivation level and her spirit lost, it would have been absolutely impossible for her to break free from a third-rank illusion heart talisman. Miss Su, have the senior within you come out, Lu Chongqing said, retracting his smile and speaking earnestly. Knowing the presence of a mighty soul within her, he understood that his little tricks would be of no use against Su Ruyan. It would be better to have this mighty soul show themselves directly. I don't know what you're talking about, Su Ruyan said, biting her lip. Seeing that the senior Hong Lian had remained silent, she realized that even Hong Lian had no solution for the situation. Thus, she did not want to expose the senior Hong Lian prematurely. Does the senior really intend to just watch in silence, hiding and not showing themselves? That really doesn't suit the demeanor of a respected elder, Lu Chongqing said indifferently, looking at Su Ruyan. Young lady. A faint sigh resonated in Su Ruyan's mind. She knew that at this moment, she had to meet with Lu Chongqing. Senior Hong Lian. Su Ruyan bit her lip tightly. Then she said to Lu Chongqing in a feeble voice, I am completely restrained, and Senior Hong Lian cannot show themselves. I see, Lu Chongqing said, not expecting the restraint seal of Mount Sumeru to prevent the grandfather inside her from appearing. He immediately had Mount Sumeru slightly release Su Ruyan. Afterward, an ancient talisman the size of 2 fingers, resembling neither jade nor stone and engraved with the pattern of a mystical beast, flew out from Su Ruyan's forehead. Flashes of colorful light surged from the talisman, and countless tiny red points of light appeared. In the empty space, they formed a faint silhouette of a woman in a luxurious red palace gown with golden edges, wearing a bejeweled crown, her face delicate and features perfect. Even though her figure and face were ethereal, making her seem almost unreal, her mere presence commanded a sacred and noble bearing, making her every gesture seem divine. The senior is actually in this form? Lu Chongqing looked at Hong Lian in front of him, his eyes revealing surprise and admiration, though his expression remained calm. He had thought that there was an old grandfather within Su Ruyan. He had not expected it to actually be a fairy goddess. He couldn't help but click his tongue inwardly. Was he fortunate enough to have stumbled upon a streak of romantic luck? After capturing the younger, now he had been presented with the elder. Your grandfather is truly beautiful, but soon will belong to me. This mighty soul senior is actually a woman. Ling Zixio's beautiful eyes also showed a hint of surprise and disbelief. She had not expected the mighty soul within Su Ruyan to be that of a woman. Despite her ethereal form, she hid none of her peerless elegance. Her eyes as picturesque as a painting, skin whiter than snow, figure slender, with an air of grace and vitality. Her pupils were red, and her lips very red, red like flames. It gave her an aura of sacred nobility and majesty, making others feel inferior and dare not defile. Ling Zixiao knew that this was the result of a long-cultivated prestige and poise of someone of high status. The senior in front of them was not only powerful, but also held no ordinary position. However, perhaps due to spending too much time with Lu Chongqing, she felt no sense of awe in her heart upon seeing this senior. In fact, she even remembered their return trip from Zhouxiao Immortal City to Qingzhou Mountain with Lu Chongqing when they ran into Nangong Meili and Meng Xiaochan. Back then, it was also a case of an elder and a younger person, but after encountering her lord husband, what would you like to discuss, young Master Lu? Hong Lian asked softly, her voice cool and enchanting, like the most melodious of sounds. She knew there was no use continuing to hide. Lu Chongqing had clearly confirmed her existence and was not bluffing. If she continued to remain hidden, Lu Chongqing might employ other methods to force her to appear, so it was better to show herself straightforwardly. There is nothing in particular, I was merely curious to meet the senior living within Miss Su, Lu Chongqing spoke calmly and composedly. If they were elsewhere, he would keep his distance from a mighty soul like Hong Lian and prepare defensive measures. But inside Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, with Mount Sumeru there, he felt no fear. Furthermore, Mount Sumeru had indicated that this soul's power was presently restrained and could not unleash its full combat potential. In front of young Master Lu, I cannot lay claim to any notable seniority or wisdom, Hong Lian replied, unable to gauge Lu Chongqing's intentions, keeping her tone soft and graceful. I wonder what it would take for young Master Lu to allow me and Miss Su to leave, she continued to inquire with a calmly composed expression. The senior must be aware, entering here, it is impossible for me to let you go, Lu Chongqing replied with a light chuckle. However, if the senior wishes to leave this place, it's quite simple. As the saying goes, a good bird chooses the tree it perches in. A wise minister chooses the master he serves. For what reason does the senior choose to remain with Miss Su? Whatever Miss Su can offer you, I believe I can offer the same, and even more. Therefore, as long as the senior is willing to follow me, leaving this place will naturally be a simple matter, said Lu Chongqing, a sincere expression appearing on his face. Chapter 739. Your grandpa is truly beautiful. Now he's mine. For he didn't know why the old grandpa was following Su Ruyan. But after thinking it over, It was either for the purpose of possession and resurrection, or there were some unfulfilled wishes. Since Su Ruyan could do it, he naturally could do it too. Why not use this method to make the being his own? After all, the woman in the red dress was at least a nascent soul true lord. With a nascent soul true lord grandpa, he feared he could take many shortcuts on his path of cultivation. Moreover, to become a nascent soul true lord, one's talent was undoubtedly extraordinary. If she became the mother of his children, the kids should turn out quite remarkable, right? Although the other party only had a soul, Lu Chongqing thought of the soul fusion resurrection elixir in his system space. This elixir was a fourth-rank elixir medicine, capable of regenerating flesh from bones and reviving a soul as long as the cultivator's spirit had not dissipated. He might be able to subdue this woman by using this elixir as bait. Lu Chongqing Yu. When Su Ruyan heard Lu Chongqing open his mouth to say a good bird chooses a tree to nest in, a wise minister chooses a lord to serve, she immediately showed an annoyed expression. Though the words were not insulting, it was clear they implied she was not up to par. And for him to undermine her in front of her face was truly distressing and infuriating. Hong Lian did not expect that as soon as Lu Chongqing spoke, he would want to subdue her. While Su Ruyan was still not mature enough and had a long way to go, her character, Dao heart, and perseverance were all quite commendable. Furthermore, since the ancient beast taming charm had chosen Su Ruyan, who had the grace of awakening her, she could not easily abandon her and leave. But if she disagreed, both she and Su Ruyan would be trapped here. If I agree, would Master Lu be willing to let Ruyan go? Hong Lian's voice was ethereal and soft, very pleasant to hear. Senior Hong Lian. When Su Ruyan heard this, her eyes immediately reddened, and she cursed Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing, you are despicable and shameless actually. But before she could finish her sentence, Mount Sumeru restrained her speech, rendering her unable to speak. Miss Su, it is said that one should aim for higher places and water flows to lower ground. Senior Hong Lian is willing to follow me to spare you. Why can't you offer her a better choice? Don't you think that if Senior Hong Lian follows me, she is obviously better off than with you? Think about it, if it weren't for you trying to steal my spiritual beast, how could you have fallen into such a plight, bringing Senior Hong Lian into this mess with you? Lu Chongqing said calmly and indifferently to Su Ruyan. Su Ruyan's face turned ugly and her expression was furious as she listened to Lu Chongqing's words. But she was unable to say anything now. And apart from cursing, she didn't know what else to say. Just as Lu Chongqing had said, if Senior Hong Lian followed him, she would clearly be better off than with her. If not for her, Senior Hong Lian wouldn't have been in such a dangerous situation. At this moment, her heart was deeply wounded by Lu Chongqing. Young lady, Hong Lian looked at Su Ruyan and softly comforted her. Then she sighed towards Lu Chongqing. Master Lu needn't say more, I am also aware of the theft of the spiritual beast, and I didn't stop it. Now, Hong Lian has no other desires, only hoping that Master Lu can spare Ruyan. Hong Lian's voice was cool and moving. Letting her go now is naturally impossible. But in consideration of Senior's face, as long as she obediently behaves, my previous promise will stand. Not only will she be spared in the future, but she will also be given a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast to assist her revenge. Lu Chongqing said with a smile, his attitude sincere. Hong Lian in front of him was a mighty soul, who in life was at least a nascent soul true monarch. Such status and position were enough for him to show a certain amount of respect. Moreover, he had never intended to kill Ruyan Su. She possessed not only a fourth-grade spiritual root, but she was also considered someone of great fortune and destiny. If such a person could be groomed and subdued to become the mother of his child, it would be a great boost for the family. As for subduing someone, the cultivation world had no shortage of methods, including his Lockhart goo. However, he wasn't too keen on using the Lockhart goo on Ruyan Su. For one, the goo had already reached its limit with Meng Xiaochan and Nangong Meili. If he added one more person to the mix, it might lead to instability. Moreover, men often have a soft spot for women who deeply love them, even if that deep love is the result of certain methods. I, Lu Chongqing, never coerce anyone, nor will I use Miss Zu's life to threaten a senior. So senior can take your time to think it over. Feel free to make any demands. As long as you are willing to sincerely follow me, I can not only help you resurrect and restore your physical body, but perhaps even help you return to your peak. Lu Chongqing looked at Hong Lian, his voice calm and steady as he continued to speak. Hong Lian did not respond. To tell the truth, Lu Changsheng's words seemed very sincere to her. Even in her view, following Lu Changsheng was not a bad choice. One reason was Lu Changsheng's various astonishing performances, and the presence of heavenly rank bloodline demon beasts and true spirit demon beasts at home, which truly made her tempted to think more about it. She believed that Lu Changsheng was a reincarnation of a mighty being. Moreover, she had a favorable impression of Lu Changsheng. It wasn't just because of his facial appearance. And also, this issue was initially their own fault. Hers and Ruyan's. Yet Lu Changsheng did not pressure them too harshly or do anything excessive. Senior need not rush to reply. You can take your time to consider. By the way, when I mentioned resurrecting Senior, it wasn't just talk. This elixir medicine, named Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir, is something you should recognize. Lu Changsheng took out the Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir from the system space. This elixir medicine was the size of a dragon's eye, presenting in black and red colors. Its surface was lustrous and full, with white and black energy flowing around it, making it appear exceptionally mystical. Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir. Upon seeing the elixir medicine in Lu Changsheng's hand, Hong Lian's soul trembled, and she couldn't help but exclaim in surprise. Amazement that could not be concealed shone in her beautiful eyes. As a nascent soul true lord, she naturally knew the renown of the Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir. This elixir, ranked 4th rank, even if the nascent soul was shattered and life was extinct, as long as the soul had not dispersed, after ingesting the elixir, one could regenerate flesh from bone and come back to life. Although her current condition was just a remnant soul with neither nascent soul nor a physical body, as long as she could find a suitable body, she could use this elixir to resurrect herself and quickly restore her cultivation level. Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir? Ling Zixiao and Ruyan Su, upon seeing the elixir medicine in Lu Changsheng's hands, also showed surprise. Although they had not heard of the fame of this elixir, seeing Hong Lian's reaction, they could roughly guess the effects of the elixir and its help in Hong Lian's resurrection. Both were shocked, never imagining that Lu Changsheng could produce such a rare elixir medicine. Especially Ruyan Su. Reconstructing a body for Hong Lian was part of the promise she had made with her, but such a task, in her opinion, was still extremely far off. At least she had to wait until she reached core formation before she could even start to consider it. But now, Lu Changsheng casually produced an elixir that could aid in the resurrection of Senior Hong Lian. This deeply shook her. She felt that what Lu Changsheng said made sense. People reach for higher ground and water flows to lower ground. If Senior Hong Lian chose to follow Lu Changsheng, it would clearly be 100 times better than staying with her. Even if she decided to obediently comply and submit to Lu Changsheng, perhaps that was not a bad choice either. At this moment, not only was Hong Lian faced with a choice, but Ruyan's heart was also caught in a dilemma. Chapter 740. The Choice of Two Women. _1, Heaven Rank Demon Beast, True Spirit Level Demon Beast, Soul Fusion Resurrection Elixir, Spiritual Eye Spring. This is definitely not something a foundation establishment cultivator could obtain. Even a nascent soul cultivator would not have such an extraordinary opportunity. Moreover, according to what Little Sue said, this person's growth experience can be described as nothing short of legendary. Originally, he was just a son-in-law with a lower-grade spiritual root from a family. But in over 20 years, from a mere mortal of family son-in-law, he broke through foundation establishment and established a familial dynasty. If it were just that, it might be explicable after all. The cultivation world never lacks minor figures who rise up from opportunities. But the combination of this person's various deeds and such extraordinary opportunities completely cannot be explained as a minor figure rising through opportunity. Especially the way this person faced me without deference or arrogance. His words filled with confidence. Such a demeanor is certainly not that of an ordinary cultivator. Hong Lian looked at the handsome-faced, slender-framed Lu Changsheng before her, looking like an orchid in bloom with elegant demeanor, and remained silent, pondering in her heart. Originally, at the Wugong Ridge Zheng family, through Su Ruyan, she briefly observed and understood Lu Changsheng. She then concluded that Lu Changsheng had great fortune and secrets. But upon seeing the Mount Sumeru Tree King, she deeply suspected that Lu Changsheng was the reincarnation of a great power. Because the situation with Lu Changsheng simply could not be clearly explained by chance encounters and fortunes. Now, seeing the 4th rank elixir medicine's soul fusion resurrection elixir, she was almost certain that Lu Chongqing was a great power reincarnated for recultivation. Because other than this reason, she really couldn't think of any other explanations. This person is definitely a great power reincarnated for recultivation. Inside his body, I also sensed a terrifying presence. This presence might just be the backup left over from his previous life, the sealed mana of cultivation within his body that, once in danger, would be released. Hong Lian thought of the terrifying presence she sensed from Lu Chongqing, which was faint but there. This presence, she herself didn't know how to describe. She only felt it to be profoundly mysterious and exceedingly terrifying. However, this person's life experience in a bit over 20 years, fathering over 100 children and establishing a cultivation family, could it be that he really is the legendary Dragon Emperor body, aiming to follow the path of that Saint King of Zhongzhou from the past? It's rumored that the Saint King of Zhongzhou fathered countless progeny, imposing a monarch's hierarchy within the cultivation world, centralizing power within a single family to draw the world's destiny upon oneself and kin. But I have never heard of anyone who could reincarnate for recultivation and decide their own physique, especially such a legendary Taoist body. Could it be that he acquired a new soul to rebuild? But if that's the case, why did he waste so many years in his early life? Hong Lian murmured to herself, continuously pondering, trying to make sense of Lu Changsheng's situation. But the more she thought about it, the more mysterious and unfathomable Lu Chongqing before her seemed to be, enveloped in a shroud of mist. However, if he truly possesses the Dragon Emperor body— Hong Lian hesitated in her thoughts, considering the effects of the Dragon Emperor body. Knowing that if her suspicions were correct, and Lu Chongqing possessed the legendary Dragon Emperor body, then following him would mean becoming akin to his wife or concubine, bearing his children. After all, such a matter would be considered natural and fitting for his great Tao for the legendary Dragon Emperor body. Perhaps, it is precisely for this reason that he proposed to recruit me. Hong Lian paused again in her thoughts, believing that Lu Chongqing was indeed sincere in his actions, as she had suspected. I wish to rebuild my body, return to the peak, solve the mysteries of the past, and avenge my grievances. Relying on little Su, the hopes are slim. Moreover, both little Su and I have fallen into this man's hands. Escaping is not an option. If I follow him, I may live another life, unravel the past. Even if I become his wife or concubine, what of it? As a nascent soul true lord, Hong Lian wasn't too concerned whether Lu Chongqing was recruiting her because of her beauty. Instead, she immediately weighed the pros and cons. After all, her current situation didn't leave her with many choices. Moreover, following Lu Chongqing was a very good choice. Because through all these judgments, Lu Chongqing wasn't just any great power reincarnated for recultivation. At the very least, he was a divinity transformation true monarch. Maybe even above the divinity transformation realm. Following Lu Chongqing, she might not only be able to revive, return to the peak, and avenge her grievances, but also have the chance to progress further. And if she guessed correctly, and Lu Chongqing would, like that Saint King of Zhongzhou, establish his own familial dynasty in the future. Her current choice to follow him, seizing the initiative, could make her at the very least one of the heavenly consorts, if not the empress. It wasn't just Hong Lian. Su Ruyan was also struggling inside at this moment. Although the illusion heart talisman lasted only a moment, it had a significant impact on her psyche. She knew deep down that she was unwilling to die like this, unwilling to accept such a fate. And now, in the hands of Lu Chongqing, she probably couldn't even seek death if she wanted to. If not for the face of her senior, Hong Lian, Lu Chongqing in front of her might have already mistreated her in ways unimaginable. So she too was struggling with whether to obediently submit and become a servant or slave. After all, only by living is there a future. Submitting to Lu Chongqing would not only allow her to survive, but also leave this place in the future. She might even gain a heaven-ranked demon beast to reclaim justice for her father and become the pride of the family. As for the price, it's just a matter of being humiliated by him, bearing perhaps 10 or 8 children. Such matters, naturally, Su Ruyan found difficult to accept, impossible to accept. Yet she clearly knew that she had no choice in this matter. Chapter 741. The Choice of Two Women. Even if she refused, with Lu Changsheng's means, if he truly wished to do so, She feared she would have no choice but to passively accept it. Since that was the case, why not turn passivity into initiative, humiliation into enjoyment? However, even though Su Ruyan consoled herself with such logic, her pride and self-respect nevertheless made it impossible for her to do such a thing. After all, not long ago, she was the cherished direct daughter of the Yushui Su family, carrying great fortune, and with a future that aspired to nascent soul. But at this moment, she was expected to serve as a slave and maidservant, which was too great a fall from grace. This moment gave birth to a strong regret in Su Ruyan's heart. She regretted why she had to carry out such an act, coming to Bai Lake Mountain to steal spiritual beasts. If she had followed grandfather's arrangements, by now she could have been safely making her foundation establishment breakthrough at home. After successfully establishing her foundation, she could have gone to temper herself in the Myriad Beasts mountain range. Or she could have returned to her family. Now the elder ancestor of the beast-taming Su family had less than 100 years to live, and the family was vigorously nurturing nascent soul seeds. If she were willing to return to her family, she could certainly stand out and smooth her way to core formation. But all these, due to her pride and stubbornness, had become but a fleeting dream. "Senior, take your time to consider," she said. "Once you've made up your mind, feel free to let Mount Sumeru know," Lu Chongqing said without urging Hong Lian to make a choice, nor demanding an immediate decision. He put away the soul fusion resurrection elixir and spoke. He then walked towards Chongqing Hall with Ling Zixiao. "Thank you, young Master Lu," Hong Lian said, bowing slightly to Lu Chongqing. Although she had made up her mind to follow Lu Chongqing, she still had some words to say to Su Ruyan. After all, after so many years of being together, she knew Su Ruyan's personality very well. She knew that someone with a stubborn and proud nature like her would not easily obey and submit to Lu Chongqing. Yet, she didn't want to see Su Ruyan humiliated, or to simply fade away like a passing fragrance. "Senior Hong Lian, I'm sorry," Su Ruyan said, biting her lip as she faced the senior before her. "Girl," Hong Lian sighed softly. Her ephemeral form then dissipated into numerous tiny red dots, returning to the ancient beast-taming charm. She couldn't remain outside for long in her current state and needed the charm to maintain her soul body. Moreover, now within the Mount Sumeru cave heaven, it wasn't good for her to converse with Su Ruyan in such a state. Entering the ancient beast-taming charm also allowed her to conceal her words. After Hong Lian entered the charm, she had it returned to Su Ruyan's sea of consciousness. "Girl, what do you plan to do?" Hong Lian's voice arose, ethereal and gentle. "Senior Hong Lian, I don't know," Su Ruyan said, her entire being enveloped in confusion. Although she was mature beyond her years, she had never experienced any major setback since childhood. Faced with such a situation now, she truly didn't know how to cope. "Girl, regarding Lu Chongqing, tell everything you know to me," Hong Lian instructed. Even though she planned to follow Lu Chongqing, she basically had no understanding of him. The rough information she knew came from what Su Ruyan had told her previously. "Senior Hong Lian, I don't know much about him either," Su Ruyan said softly. She then relayed to Hong Lian all that she knew about Lu Chongqing and related matters. Inside Chongqing Hall. "With Mount Sumeru present, Zixiao, feel free to speak your mind," Lu Chongqing said, noticing Ling Zixiao holding her words back, aware she was concerned about Hong Lian overhearing. "There is nothing much. I only wish to inquire about young master's plans for Miss Su of the Su family and Senior Hong Lian," Ling Zixiao said with a light smile. "From what I see, Senior Hong Lian seems to hold a good deal of affection for Miss Su. If young master wishes to tame the senior, arranging for Miss Su might be troublesome." Ling Zixiao had witnessed the entire event and clearly saw that Lu Chongqing wanted to tame both Hong Lian and Su Ruyan. Or rather, primarily Hong Lian. But to tame Hong Lian, Su Ruyan couldn't be released at the moment, which made arrangements somewhat awkward. We're now the fish on the chopping board, and they're the knife in our hands. Initiative naturally rests with us," Lu Chongqing chuckled softly and continued. "This senior Hong Lian is at least a nascent soul true lord. Taming her would be beneficial for both us and the family. As for Su Ruyan, as you, Zixiao, mentioned earlier, since she's come into this cave heaven and knows about Mount Sumeru, she can't be allowed to leave. It happens that this cave heaven actually needs a maidservant. If Su Ruyan is willing to obey, what I said earlier can certainly hold true. But if she's unwilling to comply, there's no need to indulge her, and the same goes for Senior Hong Lian," Lu Chongqing said calmly. While his nature was carefree and he never coerced others, the fact that both came to his by Lake Mountain to thieve meant his willingness to offer them a chance was already quite generous. If neither of them were to appreciate the gesture, he wouldn't be courteous. In my view, Senior Hong Lian seems already tempted, willing to follow young master, Ling Zixiao observed. It's just because of Miss Su that she's unwilling to make a decision impulsively and leave. After all, in the cultivation world, obligations, grudges and karma are taken very seriously. Senior Hong Lian resides within Miss Su and is willing to help her, likely due to some karmic entanglement. Therefore, young master, for Senior Hong Lian's sake, it might be fitting to show some leniency towards Miss Su, Ling Zixiao suggested. While she was merely a foundation establishment cultivator with limited exposure, she was well aware that given Lu Changsheng's status, even core formation and nascent soul cultivators would be surprised to encounter him. Chapter 742. The Choice of Two Women. Especially that soul fusion resurrection elixir, it's useful for reviving others. In the cultivation world, everyone strives in their practice for the sake of immortality and carefree living, to live life to the fullest with gusto. For a nascent soul true lord who is left with only a spirit, there is probably nothing more tempting than resurrection. And just as Lu Chongqing said, people rise to higher positions just as water flows to lower places. Following Lu Chongqing is clearly 100 times better than following Su Ruyan. Karmic debts and grudges? Okay, I understand. Now it's up to that Miss Su to make her choice. Lu Chongqing nodded and smiled, understanding the principle, before leisurely chatting with Ling Zixiao. He mentioned that his pill furnace and elixir medicines were still in the process of refinement. In a little while, little Wang Shu should also wake up. He needed to go and watch over her. Go ahead, my lord. Your concubine will keep watch here. Hearing this, Ling Zixiao thought to herself that Lu Chongqing truly doted on Lu Wangshu. Although Lu Chongqing was kind to all the children in the family, she could see that he was clearly more affectionate towards certain ones. This couldn't but make her think of herself. Having been with Lu Chongqing day and night for so many years, her relationship with Lu Chongqing had long transcended the original bargain of him healing her in exchange for her being his cultivation partner and helping him build the family. She had already developed affection for him over time. So, seeing that Lu Chongqing truly liked the children, she also considered whether she should have children with Lu Chongqing. After all, over the years, she had come to see by Lake Mountain as home, feeling a sense of belonging and wanting a child for herself. It was only because of physical reasons that she was not suitable for pregnancy and having children at the moment. But now, with the treatment from Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge, she estimated that another 3 to 5 years of recuperation should be enough for her body to recover. By then, she could consider having children with Lu Chongqing. Yet, seeing so many children, she sometimes wondered whether Lu Chongqing would also show the same affection and favoritism to her own children as he did to Lu Wangshu. Although with her as their mother, her future children would certainly not be at a disadvantage. She too hoped that Lu Chongqing, as their father, would show more favoritism to her children. Lu Chongqing walked out of Chongqing Hall. Upon seeing Lu Chongqing, Su Ruyan, who was restrained in the air, revealed indescribably complex emotions in her beautiful eyes. Then she pursed her lips and called out to Lu Chongqing. Lu! Senior Lu! Lu Chongqing, upon hearing this, looked towards Su Ruyan and raised an eyebrow. He wondered if she had come to a decision? The next moment. Whoosh! An ancient talisman flew out from between Su Ruyan's brows, and as the talisman emitted colorful light, numerous crimson specks appeared, taking on the form of a red lotus. Has Senior Hong Lian come to a decision? Lu Chongqing faced the ethereal and peerlessly elegant figure of Hong Lian, his face breaking into a smile as refreshing as a spring breeze. Young Master Lu, if you wouldn't mind, Hong Lian is willing to follow you. Hong Lian, with her slender and graceful figure, came before Lu Chongqing and offered a graceful curtsy. Even though Lu Changsheng's cultivation was only at the level of foundation establishment, since she had decided to follow him, she adjusted her mindset accordingly. After all, Lu Chongqing was the reincarnation of a mighty being starting anew. If she still maintained an air of superiority, it might displease him. Senior Hong Lian, Su Ruyan, seeing Hong Lian behave in such a way, bit her lower lip firmly. In her view, one of the reasons Hong Lian was doing so was for her own sake. Senior Hong Lian is being too polite. Since you are willing to follow me, I, Lu, am naturally most welcoming and honored. Lu Chongqing said with a radiant smile, like a genteel gentleman giving others a sense of spring's warmth. Young Master Lu, if you don't mind, from now on, you can call me Hong Lian. It's very inappropriate to call me senior. Hong Lian continued to speak. Although she was many times older than Lu Chongqing, she naturally did not dare to act superior in front of him. Lu Chongqing was inwardly surprised. He had not expected that the mighty soul and nascent soul predecessor before him would be so easy to talk to. Her attitude was almost excessively pleasant. But since Hong Lian said so, he naturally would not demur. After all, calling the future mother of his children senior did indeed sound strange. Well, though it also had a kind of charm. Fine, since that's the case, I will call you Hong Lian from now on, Lu Chongqing said, smiling and nodding. Now that you are willing to follow me, Hong Lian, you may also put forth any conditions you may have. He had always believed in reciprocating respect. If others show respect to him, he would return it manifold. Since Hong Lian was so amenable, he would be likewise. Thank you, young master. Hong Lian felt a touch of gratitude upon hearing Lu Chongqing's straightforward approach. After all, although she chose to follow Lu Chongqing for the benefits, she did not wish to seem too mercenary by making immediate demands. Chapter 743. Hong Lian's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. Under 1. Hong Lian only wishes for the young master to give Ruyan a chance, Hong Lian said with a slight sigh. She knew that Lu Chongqing couldn't possibly let Su Ruyan go at this moment. In their recent conversation, after gaining a detailed understanding of Lu Chongqing's various actions and deeds, she also made some judgments in her heart. She believed that Lu Chongqing, this person, shouldn't be some reincarnated old monster from the demon path or heretical path, and that his character was relatively decent. Therefore, she had also done some ideological work with Su Ruyan, preparing her mentally. After all, although now they were trapped in a difficult situation, life was just so. Seizing the opportunity could turn a predicament into an opportunity. And Su Ruyan's initiative in calling out to Lu Chongqing clearly showed she had made a decision in her heart. Hee. Lu Chongqing laughed upon hearing this. Then, with a smile that was not quite a smile, he turned to Su Ruyan and said, "Right now in my cave heaven, I just happen to need a servant girl. In consideration of Hong Lian, as long as she is obedient and performs well, I'll honor all my previous words and will not treat her badly." "Thank you, young master," Hong Lian said, giving a deep bow, and did not continue to speak. "Don't you have any other conditions you wish to ask for?" Seeing this, Lu Chongqing's brow arched, thinking that the Hong Lian before him was far too agreeable. Or rather, her attitude was unbelievably accommodating, and the process of subduing her was going too smoothly. Logically speaking, as a mighty soul and a nascent soul true lord, shouldn't she be full of arrogance? But the Hong Lian before him showed not the slightest arrogance and even seemed somewhat humble, which made him somewhat uncomfortable. Hong Lian has not yet made any contributions to the young master. I dare not ask for too much. Moreover, I believe that in the future, the young master will not treat me unfairly, just as the young master promised before, to restore my body and return to the peak, Hong Lian said in an elegant and gentle voice. She was dressed in a gorgeous palace gown, wearing a pearl crown, her face refined and perfect, giving off a sense of sacred nobility. Yet, before Lu Chongqing, she was like a servant girl, offering a great sense of accomplishment. "All right, Hong Lian, rest assured, once the time is right, I will restore your body," Lu Chongqing said with a nod and a smile. In his heart he thought, truly worthy of being a mighty soul. This attitude of maintaining a proper balance regardless of the situation made him extremely comfortable and his favorable impression soared. "By the way, Hong Lian, at your peak, what was your cultivation level, where did you come from, and how did you end up in such a state?" Lu Chongqing asked. His purpose in subduing Hong Lian was mainly with the thought of making her his child's mother. But since she was currently in a state of soul without a physical body, she still needed to serve other purposes. Leaving everything else aside, just having Hong Lian with her vision and strength to instruct his children would be very good. At present, the cultivation of his children was primarily overseen by Lu Miaoyun and Ling Zixiao. Although the two of them were capable, honestly speaking they were not that great. Replying to the young master, at my peak I was at the 7th level of nascent soul, from the Northern Plains cultivation realm, the Vermilion Bird Palace, Hong Lian said softly. As for how I ended up in such a plight, Originally, my sect's disciples discovered a mysterious cave dwelling, suspected to be the sect ruins of the Feathering Ice Palace from the ancient times. I led the sect's disciples to fully explore and attempt to solve the ruins. The Ice Divine Palace attacked us during this, and in this great battle, we accidentally broke open the ruins' restrictions. As soon as the ruins were broken open, there were countless treasures bursting forth, which made both sides go completely insane, fighting one another. Reflecting on it now, at that time, there was a mysterious force affecting our mental spirit and consciousness. In that battle, I was gravely injured, and for some reason, I didn't think of retreating. Instead of escaping into the great void with my nascent soul, I chose to self-destruct my nascent soul, to die alongside the enemy. But at the moment of my nascent soul's self-destruction, a mysterious power captured my soul. When I awoke, I was inside this ancient beast-taming charm, awakened by the young lady Su, Hong Lian said without hiding anything, slowly explaining how she had fallen to such a state. She still couldn't figure out what had happened to her at the time. Not just her. All the people present at the scene were severely affected, leading to such an intense and devastating battle. Otherwise, not just nascent soul true lords, but even nascent soul immortals, in a battle of equals, wouldn't fight to the death like that. After all, everyone cultivates for Chongqing. Once you become a nascent soul immortal, you have a lifespan of 500 years. Why would you fight others to the death? So, she also wanted to see if Lu Chongqing, this mighty senior, might know what was going on with her situation. Nascent soul 7th level. Northern Plains Cultivation Realm? Vermilion Bird Palace, Feathering Ice Palace, Ice Divine Palace? Self-destruction of nascent soul? Woke up inside an ancient charm. Upon hearing Hong Lian's words, Lu Changsheng's expression was filled with surprise and disbelief. He had not heard of the Northern Plains Cultivation Realm, nor of the 3 sects. However, based on their names, he roughly guessed that this Northern Plains Cultivation Realm must be similar to the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. As for Hong Lian's cultivation level, nascent soul 7th level, it also surprised him a little. Keep in mind that the #1 cultivator of Jiang country, Li Duanshuan, was probably only at the early stage or middle stage of nascent soul. Yet the Hong Lian before him was a late-stage nascent soul cultivator. This was quite astonishing. But Hong Lian's experience also made him feel deeply moved. A late-stage nascent soul cultivator, having gone through a battle over a secret realm's ruins to the extent of self-destructing her nascent soul. This was simply outrageous. So that's why, Hong Lian Sr., you have fallen into such a situation. It was only then that Su Ruyan beside him came to know of these matters. Previously, Hong Lian had not disclosed to her why she had fallen to such a state. Hong Lian, is this Northern Plains Cultivation Realm similar to the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm? Chapter 744. Hong Lian's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. Lu Chongqing inquired curiously. Upon hearing this, Hong Lian's heart immediately filled with surprise and doubt. She had not expected Lu Chongqing to be unaware of the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. Young master, as a reincarnated great being, how can you not know about the 5 great cultivation realms? Could it be? He is not from the 5 great cultivation realms, but from beyond the 5 domains? But I have never heard that beyond the 5 domains, there are other cultivation continents? However, looking at his reaction, he seems to truly be unaware of this, and even appears very astonished by this information. Could it be? Seeing Lu Chongqing looking this way, Hong Lian's thoughts raced endlessly in her mind. She did not continue to ponder further but spoke out to explain to Lu Chongqing, "That's right, the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm and the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm are both part of one of the 4 great cultivation realms. Besides the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm and the Northern Wilderness Cultivation Realm, there are also the Eastern Sea Cultivation Realm, the Western Desert Cultivation Realm, and the Central Continent." Hong Lian explained this way. The Eastern Sea, the Western Desert, the Southern Wilderness, the Northern Wilderness, the Central Continent. Lu Chongqing nodded thoughtfully upon hearing this. He had just realized how vast the cultivation world actually was. According to what he knew, the Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm alone consisted of several hundred cultivation nations. Jiang country was but a small corner within the entire Southern Wilderness Cultivation Realm. And apart from the Southern Wilderness, there were 4 other immense cultivation realms. He did not continue to ask further. After all, he was currently at the foundation establishment stage himself and had not even ventured beyond Jiang country cultivation realm, making places outside the southern wilderness far too distant for him. Hong Lian, rest assured, should the opportunity arise in the future, I will help solve the mysteries of your past and avenge you, Lu Chongqing spoke confidently. Although he was but a minor foundation establishment cultivator, the system by his side gave him the confidence and assurance to say these words to a nascent soul. Thank you, young master. Hong Lian was influenced by Lu Changsheng's calm and self-assured demeanor, momentarily startled, still pondering over Lu Changsheng's circumstances. That's right, it must be so. There are rumors of ancient beings transcending to break through their realm, reincarnating to recultivate their paths amidst the mortals. The young master must be aiming to follow a path similar to that ancient Saint King of the Central Continent, with all memories sealed, reducing the essence of the Dragon Emperor physique and the Tao of the Central Continent Saint King to instincts. His goals set for this life. Even with the memories sealed, resembling an ordinary cultivator, this temperament and poise are clearly not something an average person could possess. This also clarifies why he lingered so many years in the secular world before. It must be that as the true spirit gradually awakens, he was able to retrieve the measures prepared in the previous life, allowing him to rise steadily. Hong Lian mulled this over in her heart. The more she thought about it, the more it seemed plausible, guessing Lu Changsheng's situation roughly. This brought her some joy. After all, serving the master was like accompanying a tiger. Being in the presence of an old monster reincarnated from a great being truly made her anxious. She feared offending him in some way, which might displease Lu Chongqing. But if the other had reincarnated and did not possess memories of his previous life, her interactions with him would obviously be much more relaxed. During this time, she could also cultivate feelings with Lu Chongqing as much as possible. Hong Lian, do you happen to possess any skills? What are you proficient in? Lu Chongqing suddenly inquired. Besides the perspective of a nascent soul true lord, which could prevent the household children from deviating in their cultivation journey, he also wanted to see what else Hong Lian knew and could teach. Young master, I have some understanding of beast taming, formation, alchemy, artifact refining, and talisman making, Hong Lian said softly. Some understanding? Lu Chongqing raised his eyebrows, asking for details. A third-rank top-tier beast tamer, third-order superior alchemist, third-rank middle-grade array master, third-rank lower-grade artifact refiner, third-rank lower-grade talisman master, Hong Lian stated. As a nascent soul cultivator who had lived for 1,000 years, apart from cultivating, she naturally spent time delving into various skills. Moreover, many skills that proved difficult for qi refinement and foundation establishment cultivators were much easier for nascent soul cultivators. Lu Chongqing. Well played, you got me there. Is this what you call some understanding? In that moment, Lu Chongqing couldn't help but feel impressed, truly worthy of a nascent soul true lord, to know so much. To have raised 5 skills to the 3rd rank, encompassing all 4 mainstream cultivation arts. This made him curious to ask if Hong Lian, now in her soul state, was still capable of setting up arrays, refining pills, and refining artifacts. However, this question he planned to ask later, speaking out. Hong Lian, you're aware of my situation, aren't you? I'm aware of some of it. Hong Lian nodded in response. Now, with so many children at home, I don't have much time to instruct them in cultivation and skills, so I want to entrust this task to you, Lu Chongqing contemplated aloud. Hong Lian will certainly fulfill the task and teach the young masters and misses of the house well. Hong Lian hadn't expected Lu Chongqing to trust her so much that he would entrust such an important matter to her right from the start. After all, if Lu Chongqing were to follow the path of the Saint King of Central Continent, establishing a kingdom within the family, these children would be the foundation. The cultivation and education of these children were of utmost importance. If she were able to properly instruct and nurture these children, it would be a significant contribution. Earlier, she was still considering how she might prove her worth to Lu Chongqing. Seeing that Lu Chongqing entrusted such an important matter to her now relieved her. Good, since that's the case, the cultivation issues of the children at home will be your responsibility from now on, Lu Chongqing declared. He planned to organize the family's sutra pavilion when the time came and let Hong Lian be in charge. Or perhaps he would allow Lu Miaoyun to come teach the children with the ancient charm. Yes, young master, Hong Lian replied with a curtsy. She then spoke, Young master, this ancient charm where my soul resides is named the Ancient Beast Taming Charm. Chapter 745. Hong Lian's Past, the Effect of Ancient Runes. It's helpful for nurturing demon beasts. If the young master's pet beasts need cultivating, you can entrust them to me for nurturing. However, this ancient beast taming charm is very compatible with Ruyin. If possible, I hope the young master can continue to let Ruyin wear it. Hong Lian said this. Upon hearing that elder Hong Lian was still looking out for her, Su Ruyin felt touched, and her guilt towards Hong Lian deepened. Ancient beast taming charm? Nurturing demon beasts? Upon hearing this, Lu Chongxing felt a pause in his heart and his expression brightened with joy. He had just been wondering whether Hong Lian, as a top-tier, third-rank beast tamer, knew how to cultivate a cold blue dark turtle, a 9 netherhound, or a 6-winged golden silkworm. Unexpectedly, Hong Lian took the initiative to mention an ancient beast taming charm that could assist in nurturing pet beasts. As for the matter of the ancient beast taming charm, I'll leave it to you, Hong Lian. Could you tell me what specific effects or functions this charm has? Lu Chongxing asked. Although he recognized that the charm was a treasure, he didn't actually think of carrying it on himself. Because he had many secrets. If he carried the charm, would it not mean that Hong Lian could see everything, leaving no privacy or secrets? After all, though Hong Lian had pledged her allegiance, he still did not trust her much and needed Mount Sumeru to keep a close watch all the time. Thank you, young master. Seeing Lu Chongxing agree so readily, Hong Lian was somewhat moved. On one hand, she made this request hoping to protect Su Ruyin through the charm. On the other hand, the charm's choice of Ruyin made her speculate that there must be some reason behind it all. She spoke up. Currently, the charm only has 2 effects: taming demon beasts and nurturing them, which is why I call it the Ancient Beast Taming Charm. The charm likely has other secrets, like the beast technique cultivation method that Miss Su practices, which I obtained from this charm, Hong Lian said openly, without any concealment. Taming demon beasts, nurturing demon beasts, beast technique. Lu Chongxing raised an eyebrow. The 2 effects of the charm sounded simple, but he found them to be extremely powerful. Because most Dao soldiers are made from demon beasts. This charm could tame and nurture demon beasts. It was simply a treasured item for cultivating Dao soldiers. He wanted his own Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon cultivated and thus asked aloud, Hong Lian, this charm should be able to nurture Dao soldiers, right? Any Dao soldier that is a demon beast can be nurtured, but the charm also needs to consume energy. If nurturing too many Dao soldiers, I might trouble the young master to provide spirit stones, and heavenly and earthly treasures, to replenish the charm's energy, Hong Lian said melodiously. That's not a problem, as long as it can nurture, that's fine. Lu Chongxing didn't mind the consumption of spirit stones or heavenly and earthly treasures. He laughed and said, at the moment, there is a Dao soldier at my home that requires nurturing, and I'll trouble you with it when the time comes. By the way, may I take a look at that beast technique? Through what he knew about Su Ruyin, he guessed that this cultivation technique involved cultivating through demon beasts. He currently had 4 pet beasts. Pet beasts like the cold blue dark turtle and the 9 netherhound were rather underwhelming due to their slow growth. If this cultivation technique could let someone improve talent through demon beasts, he could allow his children to practice it at home. He could let his children use the pet beasts he obtained from system draws to practice this cultivation technique. Of course you may, young master, Hong Lian said softly. Then she directed the ancient beast taming charm to Lu Chongxing's forehead, where it bloomed with colorful rays of light, and a cultivation technique emerged in Lu Chongxing's mind. After a while, beast technique, this cultivation technique is truly profound. Having briefly looked over the technique, Lu Chongxing couldn't help feeling that it was incomparably mysterious. It was completely different from the few techniques he had acquired so far. If cultivated normally, it would be a mere common-level technique. But this technique could evolve. Through contracting with spirit beasts, the technique could evolve and ascend in rank. And the technique would tailor itself to the type of pet beast, fitting perfectly and thus aiding in breaking through cultivation bottlenecks. The stronger the bloodline potential of the spirit beast, the greater the enhancement of the technique. For example, by forming a contract with an Earth-grade bloodline spirit beast, this technique would then be about equivalent to a custom-tailored peripheral sect-level technique. If one could contract with a heavenly rank bloodline spirit beast, then the technique could be promoted to orthodox level. If one could contract with a true spirit, the technique could advance even further. This made Lu Chongqing realize that the potential of this technique could even surpass that of orthodox-level cultivation techniques. Using it himself and contracting and refining the Mount Sumeru Tree King, he feared the technique could exceed the orthodox level. However, Lu Chongqing had no intention of cultivating this technique. Firstly, cultivating this technique was very difficult. Not only did one need to comprehend the technique itself, but also the various accompanying techniques and divine skills would require much time to fathom. Cultivating this technique would be far less efficient than cultivating his 7 luminaries. Secondly, cultivating this technique would require investing a lot of time in nurturing demon beasts. Not to mention he didn't have this leisure. With the current state of the spirit vein at home, Mount Sumeru wouldn't be able to obtain much growth. So using the Mount Sumeru Tree King for cultivation might be beneficial now, but it would become a burden later. Thirdly, it made more sense for the children at home to cultivate this technique, as the cost-performance ratio was obviously higher. Fourthly, Lu Chongqing still held some expectations for the advanced-level draw techniques within the system. He had obtained orthodox-level cultivation techniques from the regular draws. The techniques from the advanced draws would obviously be higher than the orthodox level and wouldn't be weaker than this beast technique. This technique is not bad. Are there any restrictions on cultivating it? Lu Chongqing withdrew his divine sense and asked Hong Lian. Young master, as long as one's comprehension is sufficient, and naturally if one has decent talent in beast taming, even better, said Hong Lian. All right, let's leave it at that for now, said Lu Chongqing. Come with me to seize the spirit weapon, he said without further inquiry. Yes, young master, replied Hong Lian, before his faint form dissipated, turning into red light points that returned to the ancient beast taming charm. The charm quietly landed in front of Lu Chongqing. Lu Chongqing reached out and picked up the charm. The material of this ancient charm was unknown. Unlike gold or jade, nor like stone or wood, it felt curiously soft and comfortable in his hand. With the charm in hand, Lu Chongqing walked out of Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven and went to his own fish farm. Su Ruyan felt a sense of emptiness as she saw Lu Chongqing take away the charm and leave. But thinking about the attitude of the venerable Hong Lian in front of Lu Chongqing, she felt an indescribable sense of frustration and discomfort. It was as if one's cherished love was taken away, powerless to stop it and having to watch as that love catered and sacrificed itself for someone else. Moreover, during the process, one had to. It was like a knife twisting in her heart. Chapter 746. Family Heritage Enhancement. Conditions to return to the peak. Under 1. Hong Lian. Can these Tao soldiers of mine, beings of the aquatic kind, be placed into the ancient beast taming charm? Lu Chongqing pointed at the blackwater dragonfish and blackwater dragon serpents in the fish farm and spoke aloud. My lord, there's no problem, Hong Lian communicated to Lu Chongqing through divine sense. Subsequently, the ancient charm flew out, its colorful radiance pervading the area, collecting all 21 blackwater dragonfish and 18 blackwater dragon serpents from the fish farm within it. My lord, currently, the space within the ancient charm can roughly enhance the growth rate of the Tao soldiers by 30%. Should the energy be sufficient and if cultivated with full effort, the increase can reach double. Hong Lian's voice continued to ring out. 30%. Double. Lu Chongqing nodded his head. This rate of growth may sound ordinary, but in reality, it is quite exaggerated. These demon beasts, having been refined into Tao soldiers, are already equipped with methods of cultivation, making their growth speed faster than that of ordinary demon beasts. On top of that, to have such an enhancement in their growth rate, it is truly astonishing. In other words, with full effort in nurturing them, it is estimated that in 30 to 40 years, a considerable number of Tao soldiers will be able to advance to the second rank. By then, Bai Ling would have already broken through the foundation establishment stage, commanding these Tao soldiers, likely possessing the combat power to contend with core formation. However, thinking of Bai Ling's temperament, Lu Chongqing felt there must be a few among his children capable of cultivating the Black Dragon Codex. Otherwise, it would be somewhat wasteful for these Tao soldiers. Hong Lian, aside from spirit stones, what heavenly materials and earthly treasures do you need? Lu Chongqing put away the ancient charm and asked aloud. He was not concerned whether Hong Lian wished to use this as a means to restore her soul and strength. As long as she could properly nurture his family's spiritual beasts and Tao soldiers, and her demand for spirit stones was not excessive, everything was negotiable. After all, as long as it was within the domain of the Mount Sumeru Tree King at by Lake Mountain, she presumably wouldn't be able to play any tricks. My lord, in terms of heavenly materials and earthly treasures, mainly monster cores and spiritual medicine, Hong Lian spoke and indicated that the ancient beast taming charm could absorb monster cores and spiritual medicines, transforming them into some kind of spiritual liquid that aids in the growth of demon beasts. Monster cores, spiritual medicines. Good. Lu Chongqing nodded once again, transforming into an escape light that returned to the alchemy room at Bai Yun Peak. Seeing his daughter still sleeping soundly on the couch, his eyes revealed a touch of tenderness. He then took out 10,000 spirit stones, several monster cores, and a pile of spiritual medicines from 2 storage bags. The spoils he had obtained from the 6 robber cultivators causing trouble in Red Leaf Valley Market had not yet been dealt with or converted into spirit stones. Because dealing with them was not only troublesome, but also he would have to sell at a lower price. Right now, he was not in need of money. With his family's support, he could slowly process them or gradually sell them through other channels. You keep these spirit stones and spiritual medicines first, and let me know if you need more later, Lu Chongqing said to Hong Lian. Yes, my lord, Hong Lian responded softly. Looking at the pill furnace in the center of the alchemy room, she felt somewhat astonished and doubtful. She had not expected Lu Chongqing to also be skilled in alchemy. She had chatted with Su Ruyan before and had not heard that Lu Chongqing possessed alchemy skills. Afterwards, she saw Lu Chongqing, with his movements gentle and cautious and a face full of affection, cradle Lu Wangshu in his arms. Rumors say that the Dragon Emperor body not only makes nurturing children easier, but the offspring are also likely to be born with exceptional talents. As Hong Lian thought of the rumors about the Dragon Emperor body, she had a thought. She had previously been with Su Ruyan and seen Lu Wangshu. But at that time, she only sensed her from a distance and did not scrutinize her closely. Now seeing how much Lu Chongqing doted on this daughter, Hong Lian couldn't help but observe her seriously. This little girl, she must possess some kind of latent spiritual body. After observing for a while, Hong Lian felt a surge of astonishment as she noticed something unusual about Lu Wangshu. Although she couldn't determine what specific spiritual body Lu Wangshu possessed, she could tell she likely had some kind of spiritual body. This revelation left her extremely surprised. Spiritual bodies are rare. 1 in a million. And through her conversations with Su Ruyan, she knew that the talents of Lu Changsheng's wives and concubines were nothing noteworthy. In such circumstances, to have a daughter casually possessing a rare and uncommon spiritual body was astonishing. Is this the power of the Dragon Emperor body, truly terrifying? Hong Lian mumbled to herself, no longer doubting the truth of Lu Changsheng's Dragon Emperor body. Yet, she couldn't help but be curious about how many of Lu Changsheng's 100+ children possessed exceptional talents. Inside the alchemy room, Lu Chongqing held his daughter Lu Wangshu in one arm while drawing talismans with the other hand. Hong Lian watched Lu Changsheng's talisman-making skill flow like water, and she was mildly taken aback again. Because she could clearly see that Lu Changsheng's talisman-making skill was nearly at the level of Dao, absolutely proficient. Even though her talisman-making skill was at the 3rd rank, she dared not say that she could draw 2nd-rank talismans as smoothly as Lu Chongqing did. What kind of existence was he in his previous life? His spiritual root talent is merely low-grade, yet his skills and talents are so terrifying. Hong Lian was inwardly astonished. As a nascent soul-true monarch, there were hardly any matters that could make her stirred on a regular basis. But today, everything about Lu Chongqing left her incessantly wondering and moved. She felt as if the man before her was like a fog. The more she observed, the deeper and more unfathomable he seemed, making her, a nascent soul-true monarch, unable to see through him. As time slowly passed, the sky began to lighten. Lu Wangshu woke up bleary-eyed and stretched languidly. Seeing that Lu Chongqing was still holding her, she immediately beamed and said cheerfully, "Daddy, good morning." You're awake." Lu Chongqing looked at his daughter and his mood naturally improved as he gently pinched her chubby, fair cheek. Daddy, what about alchemy, the alchemy? Why didn't you wake me up?" Lu Wangshu looked around and remembering about the elixir medicines, thought that Lu Chongqing had already finished making them, pouting in a grievance. Chapter 747. Family Heritage Enhancement. Conditions to return to the peak. The elixir medicines aren't ready yet. Look, they will be ready soon. Seeing his daughter in this state, Lu Changsheng's face showed an indulgent smile. He then set her down and struck a series of spells towards the alchemy furnace, reactivating the sealed furnace. As the flames in the furnace rekindled, the spiritual mechanism of the alchemy furnace surged, and Lu Changsheng exclaimed softly, "Open!" Boom! Billowing heat waves spread from the alchemy furnace, and after a moment, a stream of spiritual light flew out into Lu Changsheng's hand. "Wow, Daddy, you're so amazing! I want to see, I want to see!" By his side, Lu Wangshu, upon seeing this, immediately clapped her hands with excitement, wanting to see the elixir medicines in Lu Changsheng's hand. Lu Changsheng chuckled, squatted down, and handed the crystal-clear and plump spirit-nurturing elixirs to his daughter to see. "It smells so good, Daddy. Can I eat one?" Lu Wangshu said, unable to resist biting her finger as she looked at the elixir medicines. Lu Changsheng glanced at his daughter. Immediately he said, "These spirit-nurturing elixirs are for the turtle to eat, we can't eat them. If you want to eat, you can only eat this candy bean." While talking, Lu Changsheng took out an elemental elixir to feed to his daughter. But Lu Wangshu still kept eyeing the spirit-nurturing elixirs in his hand, wanting to taste one. In the end, Lu Changsheng, holding his daughter, left the alchemy room, fed a spirit-nurturing elixir to the cold blue dark turtle, and told her that these candy beans were not for her to eat. Lu Wangshu then gave up the idea of tasting them. Looking at the cold blue dark turtle in front of him, Lu Changsheng wondered whether to apply the ancient beast taming charm for nurturing. But considering that his daughter would still need to feed and play with it every day, he decided against it for the time being. He planned to visit Rui Prefecture later and bring the 9 Netherhound back to nurture it with the ancient beast taming charm. Otherwise, more than 20 years had passed, and the 9 Netherhound was still at the late stage of first grade. He didn't know how long it would take to break through to the second rank. "Hong Lian, in your current state, are you still able to refine elixirs or cast techniques?" After handing his daughter to Chu Zhenjin, Lu Changsheng asked Hong Lian. If Hong Lian was currently able to perform alchemy, artifact refining, talisman making, and array setting, it would be of great help to him and to the entire By Lake Mountain. "My lord, in my current state, my spirit is weakened, and I cannot stay away from the ancient beast taming charm for long, so I can only refine some simple elixir medicines. If my lord's needs aren't high, I can do a bit of alchemy, artifact refining, talisman making, and array setting." Hong Lian said so. "Good. Later I will give you the cultivation method of the spirit weapon, and from now on, you will handle this matter," Lu Changsheng said, planning to entrust the nurturing of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon to Hong Lian. "Yes, my lord," Hong Lian responded. Back in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, Lu Changsheng looked at Su Rian, who was still bound in the air with her delicate and cold features, shining supple hair, snow-white radiant skin, wearing only a fiery red dress with golden phoenix embroidery, her expression one of amusement, and said, "Miss Su, have you decided?" Su Ruyan shuddered upon hearing this and after a long while, said in a low voice, I have decided." "Decided what?" Lu Changsheng's eyebrows raised as he asked. "Sigh." Hong Lian within the ancient beast taming charm sighed softly. She knew that at this juncture, it was all up to Su Ruyan herself. If she could overcome this obstacle, she could turn a dire situation into an opportunity. If not, there was nothing Hong Lian could do to help. "I am willing to serve Lu Master as a slave and a maid," Su Ruyan said with clenched teeth, struggling through her words. The time Lu Changsheng had left with Hong Lian felt like years to her, as she was constantly battling internally. She knew that Lu Changsheng and Senior Hong Lian were right. She was indeed a captive. Hoping to leave this place clean and unscathed was simply not possible. He could easily have her if he wanted. What was the point of her struggling? So, she could only hope that he would keep his promises, which would be a considerable fortune amidst the misfortune. Mount Sumeru. Lu Changsheng watched as Su Ruyan lowered her proud head and chuckled lightly. In an instant, Su Ruyan, who had been bound, fell from the air. Her long snow-white legs slightly wobbled, and she stumbled as she landed in front of Lu Changsheng, causing her chest to quiver. Truly pitiable. "I remember when I first met Miss Su at the Zheng family, she had an air of elegant nobility," Lu Changsheng said as he stood in front of Su Ruyan, the two of them very close to each other, nearly brushing her delicate nose. He extended his hand, stroked her forehead gently, and twined a few strands of her fiery red shiny hair around his finger, saying, "To transform the esteemed pearl of the Su family into an obedient and docile maidservant has indeed some unique allure for Lu." Upon hearing these words, Su Ruyan felt a sharp pain in her heart. Her proud self-esteem seemed to be trampled by Lu Chongqing. Once upon a time, she was the esteemed pearl of the Su family. Whether it was within the family or outside, everyone was courteous to her, let alone touching her like this. And now, she was being played with at will by Lu Chongqing. She wanted to slap his hand away and reprimand him fiercely. But she knew that Lu Chongqing was doing this on purpose, to make her submit, so she had to endure it. "Miss Su, do you know the proper attitude of a maidservant?" Lu Chongqing eyed Su Ruyan, who stood tall and graceful, with disheveled hair and a strong defiant look in her eyes. He lifted her delicate chin teasingly and said. Yet in his heart, he couldn't help but feel a dark desire that every man harbors, to pull a high-born fairy down to hell, to dominate and play with her at will. Although the Su Ruyan before him did not possess the untouchable and lofty status of a fairy, as the pearl of the Su family, her status was indeed noble. Especially during their first meeting, she left him with a rather good impression. Thus, seeing her currently standing in front of him with a stubborn and humiliated expression, being toyed by him, truly had its own unique flavor. Chapter 748. Family Heritage Enhancement. Conditions to return to the peak. However, he knew that Su Ruyan before him still required proper training. In Su Ruyan's stubborn and beautiful eyes, confusion and helplessness emerged. As a young lady of her family, how could she possibly know what the attitude of a maidservant was like? Yet, thinking of how the maids at home served her, her slender jade-like hands clenched into fists, and she bit her lip. Eventually, with a trembling figure, she knelt before Lu Chongqing, bowing down. "Ruyan pays her respects to the young master." Lu Chongqing was somewhat surprised. He didn't expect Su Ruyan to adapt so quickly. He stroked his chin and said with a light laugh, "Take off your clothes." Su Ruyan didn't speak, her soft and fair jade arms lifted, somewhat trembling as she undid her undergarments. With the undergarments falling to the floor and resting on her beautiful feet, her naked exquisite body was fully revealed. TSK, this adaptability, this change of heart, truly is extraordinary. But even here it is fiery red. Lu Chongqing regarded the seductive figure of Su Ruyan before him, clicking his tongue inwardly. However, even though Su Ruyan seemed submissive, kneeling before him, there was still a trace of haughtiness and inviolability in her expression. Not at all like the maids in the White Jade Tower who had been trained, their eyes dull and lifeless. But having light in her eyes, slowly training her myself, seems more interesting. Lu Chongqing touched his chin and said, "Su Ruyan, though incapable of actively flirting and serving in a charming manner, even clumsy and inexperienced in serving, if she were to completely submit under his training, it seemed to him that there could indeed be a different kind of interest and sense of achievement." "That's enough. Tidy yourself up. Just stand by the side. I will call you if there's anything I need." Lu Chongqing, feeling somewhat heated at the sight of the enticing body before him, said to Su Ruyan. He didn't directly pluck the tempting fruit before him. After all, such things are more interesting when done slowly. And he didn't want Su Ruyan to change so noticeably all at once. After speaking, he returned the ancient beast taming charm to Su Ruyan. He didn't want to go too far, it was also to give Hong Lian some respect. The ancient beast taming charm returned to the sea of consciousness in Su Ruyan's forehead. Hong Lian said nothing, knowing that at this time, Su Ruyan needed to be left alone quietly. Su Ruyan also didn't speak, her expression wooden. She knew the moment she called for Lu Chongqing to stay, she could only obediently listen and cooperate. In fact, deep down, she didn't have the courage to resist Lu Chongqing. After all, even the senior Hong Lian had submitted to Lu Chongqing. Her resistance would be nothing but self-inflicted suffering. "My lord." In the Grand Hall's bedroom, Ling Zixiao was suddenly embraced by Lu Chongqing and let out a soft whine through her nostrils. 3 days later, Lu Chongqing returned to Rui Prefecture for a while and brought the 9 Netherhound back to Bai Lake Mountain. This, another heavenly rank bloodline demon beast. Hong Lian was shocked to see Lu Chongqing bringing back a heavenly rank bloodline demon beast. Although to her, a nascent soul true lord, a heaven-rank beast was not exceedingly rare, it wasn't commonplace either. Su Ruyan also saw the 9 Netherhound. This caused her to be shocked, and at the same time, to believe in Lu Changsheng's words a bit more. After all, Lu Changsheng had already revealed 3 heavenly rank bloodline demon beasts and 1 true spirit-level demon beast. Who knew if there were any more heavenly rank demon beasts? As long as she behaved and performed well, it didn't seem like a big deal to give herself one. Subsequently, Lu Changsheng briefly explained the situation with Hong Lian to Lu Miaoyun. He stated that for the children's cultivation, they should consult with Hong Lian directly. On the first day of each month, they would bring the ancient beast taming charm to their children for cultivation guidance and pointers. At the same time, Lu Changxing gave Hong Lian the cultivation methods of the Blackwater Dragon spirit weapon as well as all other techniques from the system. After all, in order to have Hong Lian give guidance in cultivation, he definitely had to pass on the techniques to her. Faced with this situation, Hong Lian forthwith disclosed her inheritance from Vermilion Bird Palace. It included 2 orthodox-level cultivation techniques, 7 peripheral sect-level cultivation techniques, more than 10 exquisite-level cultivation methods, and the inheritance of 5 third-rank skills. One could say that with this contribution from Hong Lian, Lu Changsheng's family became the #1 in Jiang country regarding the foundation of cultivation techniques. Would this be too much? Seeing Hong Lian disclose so many inheritances, Lu Changsheng said somewhat apologetically. Hong Lian is now the young master's person. These techniques and inheritances naturally belong to the young master, Hong Lian said deferentially. The favor of a lady is indeed hard to accept. Lu Changsheng felt somewhat at a loss due to Hong Lian's actions. After all, he had promised to restore her physical body and bring her back to her peak. But now he hadn't done anything yet, and here Hong Lian was, starting to cultivate demon beast Dao soldiers for him and teach his children. Moreover, she contributed so many techniques and inheritances all at once, which really made him feel a bit embarrassed. Hong Lian, you are now only left with your divine soul. If you want to restore your body and return to the peak, just the soul fusion resurrection elixir might not be enough, right? Lu Changxing asked Hong Lian. Young master, with the soul fusion resurrection elixir, as long as I have a body, I will be able to merge with it and come back to life. However, in such a state, returning to the peak would be almost hopeless. To return to the peak, I must have a suitable body that can match and accommodate my divine soul. Moreover, my divine soul is currently weak. I can only rely on the ancient beast taming charm for nourishment, and to return to the peak and perfectly fuse with a body, my divine soul must also recover to its peak. Hong Lian spoke, her voice tinged with bitterness. With the soul fusion resurrection elixir, resurrection was simple for her. The challenge was returning to her peak strength. If she randomly chose a body and took the soul fusion resurrection elixir, not to mention returning to her peak, even returning to the nascent soul stage would be hopeless. A suitable body? Restoring the divine soul? Hearing this, Lu Changsheng's brows raised and he said, what exactly qualifies as a suitable body? Young master, for example, the bones of a nascent soul cultivator can be used to refine an external incarnation of spiritual objects from heaven and earth, or a body shaped by some heavenly materials and treasures. Hong Lian, knowing that Lu Changxing was unfamiliar with these details, explained. The bones of a nascent soul cultivator, refining an external incarnation of spiritual objects from heaven and earth, a body shaped by heavenly materials and treasures. Upon hearing this, Lu Changsheng's mouth twitched. He felt that, aside from relying on the system, it was nearly impossible for him to obtain these items at the moment. He spoke, all right, I will keep an eye out for these things for you. Although he wouldn't immediately resurrect Hong Lian even if he had such treasures now, he naturally couldn't speak poorly given her expression of intent. Thank you, young master. Hong Lian's voice was soft and pleasing as she spoke. In addition to the matter of mentoring the children, upon seeing Ling Zixiao still setting up the divine wood great formation by herself, Lu Changxing promptly asked Hong Lian to assist Ling Zixiao with the formation and exchange knowledge about formations with her in their spare time. After all, as a third-rank array master, Hong Lian's pointers would be greatly beneficial to Ling Zixiao. At that moment, walking through the marketplace, he encountered countless cultivators who showed him respect, admiration, envy, and infatuation. Many young girls and female cultivators' eyes seemed to glisten with water as they glanced at Lu Chongqing. If he were willing at that moment, he could probably just signal, and many female cultivators would eagerly offer to become his concubines. This was not because his charm had increased. He had always contained the charm that emanated from him at all times. But as his fame and status grew, so did his charm rise to a whole new level. Lu Chongqing arrived at Peace Talisman Hall. Under Gao He's management and Lu Changsheng's reputation, Peace Talisman Hall had become the #1 spirit talisman shop in Red Leaf Valley Market. Old Gao, you've worked hard these years. If you're thinking of retiring, you can come to Bai Lake Mountain, Lu Chongqing said as he saw his old friend Gao He. The two knew each other for more than 2 decades. Gao He, now in his 60s, looked quite elderly with gray hair and numerous wrinkles. His once full face was now thinner, but the traces of his former robustness remained visible. "Thank you for the kind offer, boss," Gao He replied respectfully, looking at the eternally youthful, outstanding man in a blue robe before him. He rarely saw Lu Chongqing these years. But with every meeting, as he himself grew older and saw the forever young Lu Chongqing, he couldn't help but be filled with emotion. Who could have imagined that the son-in-law of the Lu family, with whom he once bragged and discussed the talisman path, would now become a patriarch of a territory? After briefly discussing the shop's situation, Lu Chongqing left with his wives and concubines. Upon seeing Lu Miaoge, Lu Chongqing asked, "Sister Miaoge, how is the collection of materials for your Water of Virtue container and the Tai Chi talisman going?" "The materials for the Water of Virtue container have been gathered. The Tai Chi talisman is still missing 2 components," Lu Miaoge responded softly. However, she would still need an artifact refiner to craft her life-bound spiritual artifact. "After the auction is over, I will craft it for you," Lu Chongqing said. Because of the cultivation technique inheritance from the system, he had mastered crafting the life-bound spiritual artifact related to the Water of Virtue technique. He could help Lu Miaoge craft the embryo of the spiritual artifact. "Okay," Lu Miaoge, somewhat astonished, still chose to trust Lu Chongqing and nodded in agreement. 5 days later, the auction officially began. Lu Yuanzhong, Bai Yunyang, elder ancestor of the Su family, and many powerful families from the surrounding area, along with a good number of foundation establishment loose cultivators, came to Red Leaf Valley Market to join the auction. Because the auction had been hyped up for so long, several major families brought out many valuable items. Lu Chongqing also took out some second-ranked talismans as finale items. "Greetings to Lu Mountain Lord. Madam Lu." Daoist Zhao, Daoist Lin, Daoist Li, Daoist Xiao, Lu Chongqing, with his wife and holding his daughter Lu Wangshu, greeted and made small talk with the foundation establishment ancestors from other family powers. During this time, he spotted Su Renguang. The man's expression carried a trace of worry. Through casual conversation, Lu Chongqing learned that Su Renguang was troubled because his granddaughter Su Ruyan had run away from home, which gave Lu Chongqing a peculiar feeling. After all, his granddaughter Su Ruyan was currently acting as a maid in his own home. "Thank you all, esteemed seniors and friends, for joining us. I'm Lu Chuanjin, Bai Yujun, honored to host the auction today. I wish everyone can obtain what they wish for." After the audience nearly filled the venue, a man and a woman stepped onto the stage of the auction. The man was about 20 years old, wearing an elegant blue brocaded robe, with refined and handsome features and long deep eyes. Chapter 750. The auction begins. Heavenly longevity technique mastered. The girl was around 18 or 19 years old, clad in a white gorgeous dress, with a slender figure and a sweet, pretty face. Now the Lu family of Blue Lake Mountain was nearly leading the 4 great families, which was why the auction was hosted by people dispatched by Lu Chongqing. Hence, Lu Chongqing picked among his children and had his son Lu Chuanjin oversee it. As for Bai Yujun, she was a daughter of the Bai family from Hundred Birds Lake. Lu Chongqing felt it somewhat improper for his family to have full control over the entire process. By having the Bai family arrange for someone to appear, it would just so happen to make a paired set with 1 male and 1 female. "Husband, this young lady looks quite a match for Chuanjin." Chu Zhenjin, standing nearby, saw her son with the Bai family girl on stage, and excitement flashed across her face. She had always been urging her son, Lu Chuanjin, to marry. But her son avoided her every day, which led her to try matchmaking whenever she saw him near any girl. "Hee hee. Lu Chongqing did not wish to get involved in this topic. Because if he responded to Chu Zhenjin even briefly, she would surely act coquettishly and have him go and work on Lu Quanzhen's mindset. Caught between being both a husband and a father, he found himself in a difficult position. Mom, brother really doesn't want to get married. If you say something, he will just avoid you even more, and it's still early. Lu Caizhen put an arm around her mother's and spoke in defense of her brother. After all, Lu Chuanjin was somewhat stern on normal days, but he was extremely caring towards his younger brothers and sisters. What do you mean it's early? Your Yun brother is a year younger than Chuanjin, and he already has 3 children. And you're not young anymore either. You can't be like your brother. Chu Zhenjin said somewhat grievously. Hearing this, Lu Kaizen's head shrank, and she immediately went quiet, fearing the fire might be drawn to herself. Sisters Lu Miaoge and Lu Miaohuan nearby both smiled at this scene. Watching Lu Chuanjin hosting the auction on stage brought Lu Miaohuan to think of her eldest son, Lu Qingshan. Compared to her somewhat more honest younger son, Lu Qingsong, she favored the normally mischievous Lu Qingshan more. After all, her son might be naughty, but he brought joy to their daily lives, often cheerfully brightening up his mother's mood. Moreover, she hadn't seen this son for nearly 5 years. Huan, what's wrong? Lu Chongqing, with his keen perception, noticed that his wife, Lu Miaohuan, suddenly seemed a bit downcast. It's nothing. Lu Miaohuan came back to her senses and spoke softly. Even though she longed to visit her son at the Jinyang sect in Yu country, she knew the current family circumstances prevented Lu Chongqing and Lu Miaoge from leaving. Lu Chongqing held her delicate and fair hand without uttering a word, knowing that Lu Miaohuan missed her son Lu Qingshan. Over the years, Lu Miaohuan often found herself thinking of this son. The first item for auction, War Beast Puppet, crafted by our Blue Lake Mountain Lu family, is a first-grade top-quality item, capable of offense and defense, with excellent speed, and inscribed with several techniques. At this moment, Lu Chuanjin had started to introduce the first item up for auction. This was a puppet crafted by the Blue Lake Mountain Puppet Workshop. However, it couldn't yet be mass-produced, so it was being used for promotional purposes, to build a reputation. Chuanjin is doing quite well. His management of his first auction is orderly and composed. Lu Miaoge voiced her praise. Chuanjin indeed handles this aspect very well. I was planning to have Xianji take charge, but in such occasions, his personality makes him too rigid and prone to stage fright. Lu Chongqing, reclining on a soft chair, nodded in agreement. Chu Zhenjin, as a mother, beamed with happiness when she heard her son being praised. Besides not listening to her teachings, in other aspects, her son indeed gave her peace of mind, which made her proud. Especially the way he treated his younger brothers and sisters regularly reminded her of her own elder brother, Chu Changge. Time passed bit by bit. The auction was divided into 3 sessions and lasted 3 days before concluding, and the scale was anything but small. But the Red Leaf Valley Market was, after all, just an auction held by a few foundation establishment families, so the grade of the auction items was limited. Lu Chongqing didn't think it was appropriate to offer 2 rare items. For example, the treasure map he prepared for auction. After some deliberation, he decided against auctioning it. Otherwise, he only needed to produce a single foundation establishment elixir and start advertising the treasure maps, and the auction might have been 10 times busier. After the auction ended, Lu Chongqing and the other 3 families had already negotiated to open some beneficial regulations for the market, trying their best to retain some of the traffic. Also, after the auction, Lu Chongqing and the ancestral figures of other families, as well as loose cultivators at the foundation establishment level, held a trade meeting. Even though he didn't find what he wanted, he managed to gather the 2 materials needed for Lu Miaoge to refine her life-bound spiritual artifact, the Tai Chi Talisman. Father-in-law, how is the situation with the foundation establishment at home progressing? Upon seeing Lu Yuanding, Lu Chongqing asked about the foundation establishment at Qingzhou Mountain. The family recently spent a significant sum to purchase a earth fire essence. Mu Ping has a fire spiritual root and switched to practicing the greenwood solar flame technique, so this earth fire essence suits him well. Moreover, Miao Feng, due to past events, is also considering making concessions, planning to go out and try his luck on his own. Lu Yuanding said with a slight sigh. He too was quite troubled about the foundation establishment for these 2 individuals. Lu Miaofeng had a 4th-grade spiritual root and had already attempted foundation establishment once, making his odds of breaking through considerably higher. But due to his previous foundation establishment failure, Lu Miaofeng might encounter a heart demon, feel excessive pressure, fear another failure, and disappoint the family expectations. Compared to Lu Miaofeng, Lu Muping was only 40 years old and even younger. Lu Chongqing nodded, without interjecting further. Since the chances of both individuals breaking through to foundation establishment were closely matched, Qingzhou Mountain was more concerned about the situation than he was. Chapter 751. The auction begins. Heavenly longevity technique mastered. With the auction fully concluded, Lu Chongqing also prepared to return to Bai Lake Mountain with his wife and children. Father. At this time, Lu Chuanjin expressed to Lu Chongqing that he wished to leave home to gain experience and venture out into the world. To go out and gain experience? Lu Chongqing frowned slightly upon hearing this. He had long known that this son of his harbored a desire to travel and adventure. If it weren't for the establishment of Bai Lake Mountain and being called back home by himself, he probably would have gone out long ago. Wait until you break through to the 6th level energy refinement. Lu Chongqing looked at his son in front of him, speaking after a slight pause. He could understand his children wanting to leave home for experience, not willing to settle within the family. After all, most members of big families were clear about one thing. If they settled within the family, without venturing out for experience, it was highly unlikely to achieve foundation establishment in their lifetimes unless they had exceptional talent. Even though the conditions at Bai Lake Mountain were far superior to those of Qingzhou Mountain, 100 Birds Lake, Wugong Ridge, and even the Yushui Su family and other family powers, they still couldn't train many of their children to achieve foundation establishment. At most, they could train them up to the energy refinement late stage. To establish a foundation would still be up to them. And Lu Chuanjin obviously saw this point. He knew his own spiritual route was not good, just an 8th-grade spiritual route, so he had planned his life's path early on. However, in Lu Changsheng's view, a cultivation level at the 5th level energy refinement was still a bit too low. When he reached the 6th level, if his son still wanted to go out, he would give him a life-saving spirit talisman. Many thanks, father. Upon hearing this, Lu Chuanjin immediately responded with respect. He knew that if his father agreed to it, then the matter was settled. Use this time to prepare your mother mentally. Don't just run off without saying a word. Lu Chongqing said as he patted his son's shoulder. The fledgling eagle must spread its wings. If this son did not have his own opinions and the desire to venture out, in his heart, he would have actually been inclined to hand over the position of family head to him. Given the personalities of Lu Pingon, Lu Shenji, and Lu Yun, they did not quite suit the role of Bai Lake Mountain family head. Father, you know that if I tell mother, she definitely won't agree, so I can only trouble you with this. Lu Chuanjin, with a handsome face, showed a helpless and bitter smile. Sigh, just be a bit more accommodating to your mother, that's all. Don't constantly avoid her. The more you avoid her, the more she'll worry. If it really comes to it, just tell her that on this trip to gain experience, you'll also keep an eye out for a woman you love. Lu Chongqing shook his head as he spoke. He too had often been troubled by Chu Zhenzhen urging Lu Chuanjin to get married. Yes, I understand, father. Lu Chuanjin smiled, making the corners of his eyes seem more elongated. His facial features were similar to Lu Changsheng's by 70%, but his eyebrows and eyes were inherited from his mother, especially when he smiled. After returning to Bai Lake Mountain with his wives and children, Lu Chongqing briefly dealt with some family affairs and his children's situations before returning to Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven. My lord. Su Ruyan, in a flaring red dress with a fine and stunning face, immediately greeted Lu Chongqing with great respect upon seeing him. MHM, I encountered your grandfather at the auction. He's very worried about your situation. Lu Chongqing said with a light smile. Grandfather? Su Ruyan's delicate body trembled violently when she heard this. Having been in Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven for so long, what concerned her the most was the situation back home. She said with downcast eyes, Thank you, my lord, for informing me. When you left home, did you say anything about when you would return? Lu Changsheng's voice was gentle as he wrapped his arms around her slender, snake-like waist and drew her into his embrace, asking softly. The action and his concerned tone made Su Ruyan's heart tremble. If it wasn't for knowing another side of Lu Chongqing, she would have found herself unable to resist falling for him in such close quarters. Sometimes, she even wondered if the outcome would be different if she hadn't resorted to stealing and instead had chosen to marry Lu Chongqing proactively. Nothing. Su Ruiyan tensed slightly, her delicate body leaning obediently against Lu Changsheng's chest, letting his strong arms enfold her. She knew that to win Lu Changsheng's favor, she had to appear docile and obedient in front of him. You have a life token, a soul lamp, and such items at home, don't you? Lu Chongqing sat down on a bamboo chair nearby, embracing her graceful figure and twirling a strand of her fiery red, crystal-clear hair between two fingers. The silky smooth texture of Su Ruiyan's hair was very comforting to touch, something he often played with. Moreover, over the course of more than a month under his tutelage, she had gradually begun to nuzzle his palm on her own initiative, like a docile kitten, giving him an intense sense of achievement. It could only be said that bullying women was also in a man's nature. Yes, Su Ruiyan murmured softly. Despite the humiliation and the control over her movements now, she sadly found herself gradually becoming accustomed to it. Since you have a life token and a soul lamp, your family won't worry. Lu Chongqing chuckled lightly. After teasing Su Ruiyan for a while, he entered the Chongqing Hall's cave dwelling and began to craft a spiritual artifact embryo for Lu Miaoge. Time flew, and in the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. On this day, as usual, Lu Miaoyun came to the back mountain of the Lingxiu cliff. She took out the formation command given to her by Ling Zixiao, stepped into the formation, and looked at the luminous treasure tree before her. Heavenly longevity technique, refine. Lu Miaoyun sat cross-legged in front of the luminous treasure tree, her hands forming seals, using her internal spiritual power to refine the luminous treasure tree in front of her. To say it was refining was actually more akin to merging. Because after more than a year of refinement, she had already established a connection with the luminous treasure tree, the two almost becoming one. She could even vaguely sense the emotions of the luminous treasure tree. Now the task was to completely refine the luminous treasure tree, making it her life-bound spiritual root, merging completely with her. As she refined the luminous treasure tree, a surge of qi from the tree rushed into Lu Miaoyun's body. What's this? Lu Miaoyun suddenly felt her spiritual power uncontrollably pouring out of her, being devoured by the luminous treasure tree. In the past, it was always her nourishing the luminous treasure tree with her spiritual power. But this time, the luminous treasure tree actively devoured her spiritual power, causing her complexion to turn pale. Lu Miaoyun, realizing something, immediately took out several spirit stones from her storage bag to recover her spiritual power. At the same time, she poured out a bottle of spiritual liquid for the luminous treasure tree. Buzz! Just as Lu Miaoyun's spiritual power was nearly drained by the luminous treasure tree, a mysterious and subtle vibration surged into her heart, making her whole person feel light and clear. Hoo! A torrent of spiritual mechanism emerged from the luminous treasure tree, enveloping Lu Miaoyun completely, beckoning countless nature's spiritual energies to roll towards her and enter her body. Boom! In an instant, Lu Miaoyun's body shook violently, and a breeze swept around her. The bottleneck she had faced for years, from the 6th-level energy refinement to the 7th-level energy refinement, was broken in that moment. But it didn't stop there. A rich essence of plants and trees, the origin source from the luminous treasure tree, continued to pour into her body. Chapter 752. The effect of the heavenly longevity technique, heading to the White Jade Tower. _1 atop by Yun Peak. Ling Zixiao was with Su Ruiyan, arranging the Divine Wood Grate formation. Sensing the spiritual energy of Ling Tsue Cliff and the operation of the formation, her expression became slightly focused. She immediately stopped setting up the formation and flew towards Ling Tsue Cliff to check the situation. Is this the Heaven and Earth longevity technique successful? After Ling Zixiao arrived at the back mountain of Ling Tsue Cliff, she saw Lu Miaoyun and the luminous treasure tree enveloped in a mist of spiritual mechanisms, seemingly as one entity. Although she had seen the Heaven and Earth longevity technique before, she did not know the specific effects of its refinement. Moreover, since this cultivation technique involved refining different nature's spirit plants into one's life-bound spiritual root, results could vary significantly. She immediately took out a yin-yang sensing talisman to have Lu Chongqing come over and take a look. Chongqing Hall, in the retreat cave dwelling. The heaven and earth longevity technique has succeeded? Lu Chongsheng was in the process of refining a spiritual artifact embryo when he received Ling Zixio's message. He immediately got up, left Mount Sumeru Cave Heaven, and came to Lingcue Cliff. There he saw Lu Miaoyun sitting cross-legged, inhaling and exhaling the surrounding spiritual energy of nature. At this moment, she and the luminous treasure tree's mechanisms were merged, indistinguishable from each other. Zi Xiao, gather spiritual energy, Lu Chongxing said directly to Ling Zixiao, instructing her to converge the surrounding spiritual energy towards Lingcue Cliff. He also took out several middle-grade spirit stones from his storage bag, crushing them to release the rich spiritual energy within. He could tell that Lu Miaoyun was likely in the process of refining the luminous treasure tree into her life-bound spiritual root. However, because the growth grade of the spirit plant was quite high and Lu Miaoyun's cultivation level was too low, she received nourishment from the spirit tree, causing a breakthrough in her cultivation level. Good. Ling Zixiao nodded, took out an array plate, pinched a spell, and drew the spiritual energy from all around Lingcue Cliff towards them. Hoo. As the spiritual energy of nature entered her body, Lu Miaoyun's cultivation level, after breaking through the 7th level energy refinement, climbed step by step. After about half a day, her cultivation level broke through from the 7th level energy refinement to the 8th level energy refinement. Could Miaoyun possibly be going for a direct breakthrough to foundation establishment? Ling Zixiao looked at the situation unfolding before her and said with a light smile. Likely not. Judging from this turbulence, it's not enough for a breakthrough to foundation establishment, Lu Chongxing shook his head and said. The current activity, although not minor, was still far from the level required for a foundation establishment breakthrough. It was simply not comparable. Another day passed, and Lu Miaoyun's cultivation level broke through from the 8th level energy refinement to the 9th level energy refinement. After breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement, the spiritual mechanisms emanating from the luminous treasure tree and the spiritual energy of nature continued, but the movements gradually diminished. Husband, Sister Zi Xiao. A day later, Lu Miaoyun opened her eyes and filled with joy, looked at Lu Chongsheng and Ling Zixiao before her. Her face appeared much younger at this moment, and she exuded vitality from head to toe, giving a sense of vibrancy. Congratulations to my Miaoyun on mastering the heaven and earth longevity technique, a promising future on the path of immortality. A smile spread across Lu Changsheng's face as he congratulated his wife. Usually, Lu Miaoyun and others would be the ones offering congratulations to her. It was rare for her to congratulate her wife. Congratulations, Miaoyun. Ling Zixiao also said with a beaming smile while taking a closer look at Lu Miaoyun's condition. When Lu Miaoga had her foundation establishment breakthrough, both her appearance and temperament underwent a dramatic change, as if she was reborn. Lu Miaoyun was no exception at this moment. Not only did she look much younger, but she also seemed like a precious tree of verdant greenery, making the air around her feel all the fresher. Thank you, husband, and thank you, Sister Zi Xiao. If it weren't for my husband and Sister Zi Xiao, how could I have perfected this technique? Lu Miaoyun said this while looking at Lu Chongxing, her eyes filled with tenderness and affection. Without Lu Chongxing, she would have found it difficult to cultivate to the 9th level energy refinement in her lifetime. But now, under Lu Changsheng's arrangement, she cultivated the heaven and earth longevity technique, refining the luminous treasure tree into her life-bound spiritual root, and directly breaking through to the 9th level energy refinement. Moreover, she could clearly sense that she and the luminous treasure tree were perfectly integrated. With the passage of time and the changing of seasons, as the luminous treasure tree grew, the origin of plants and trees would continuously enter her body, as if she herself were cultivating. Now, foundation establishment was only a matter of time for her. Yuner, after you practiced this technique, do you feel any changes? Lu Chongxing asked Lu Miaoyun. The heaven and earth longevity technique was the only top-tier technique in the family that was learned from outside, so his understanding of it was limited. I feel like I've formed a profound connection with the luminous treasure tree, merging into one entity, and able to slightly control the tree, she replied. However, once I move away from the tree, the connection between us gradually weakens, and eventually breaks, resulting in the failure of the technique, she continued. Moreover, the spiritual power inside me has transformed from the original Greenwood art, now completely into the botanical force of the heaven and earth longevity technique. Lu Miaoyun began to describe her current state, indicating that after perfecting the heaven and earth longevity technique, her lifespan had noticeably increased. However, due to the conversion of her spiritual power into the botanical force of the heaven and earth longevity technique, her spiritual strength had weakened considerably, primarily geared towards nurturing. It was difficult to increase her cultivation realm through elixir medicines. It could only be gradually raised through the growth of the luminous treasure tree. The advantage of this spiritual power was its ability to preserve her looks, beautify, and nourish both her physical body and soul. Even as she aged, her body would remain vigorous and her condition would not significantly decline. Additionally, she gained insight into how to cultivate the luminous treasure tree so that it would grow as quickly as possible. And she could spend her origin source to make the luminous treasure tree quickly condense the luminous sweet dew, without having to wait for the 30-year growth cycle. It's good that there are no side effects, Lu Chongqing remarked. As for the luminous sweet dew, if you have time, Yuner, you could try to accelerate its formation and see how effective it is. Chapter 753. The Effect of the Heavenly Longevity Technique. Heading to the White Jade Tower. Lu Chongqing smiled as he spoke. The only thing he was worried about was the Heavenly Longevity Technique. Besides the few issues mentioned above, there might be other side effects. Okay, Lu Miaoyun nodded gently in agreement. Let's go. To celebrate Yunar's successful cultivation of the Heavenly Longevity Technique, we should celebrate properly. Lu Chongqing stepped forward, took his wife's hand, and laughed. Then he returned to Bai Yun Peak and instructed a family banquet to be held in celebration of Lu Miaoyun. Although the wives and children at home didn't know what was happening, many sensed the earlier situation at Lingcue Cliff. Seeing the changes in Lu Miaoyun's appearance and temperament, everyone guessed and congratulated her aloud. Lu Miaohuan and Chu Zhenzhen were aware of the situation concerning the Heavenly Longevity Technique. Seeing the changes in Lu Miaoyun's appearance and temperament, a touch of envy inevitably showed deep in their eyes. Although they didn't have much desire to pursue foundation establishment, as women, they all had a love for beauty. Moreover, the effects described by the Heavenly Longevity Technique were tantalizing. The notion of automatic cultivation was undoubtedly tempting. Lu Chongqing keenly sensed this, sighing slightly in his heart. Now, if anyone in the family wanted to continue practicing the Heavenly Longevity Technique, new spirit plants were needed from heaven and earth, and the spirit vein under Bai Shui Lake had to advance to second rank. Otherwise, it would be difficult to afford the consumption. The parasitic spirit plants nurtured by Mount Sumeru should be able to grow directly from Mount Sumeru, right? Lu Chongqing pondered. However, nurturing a parasitic spirit plant would consume a large amount of Mount Sumeru's vitality, something he was reluctant to do for the time being. Late at night. Afterwards. Lu Chongqing hugged the plump and fair-skinned Lu Miaoyun, covered in glistening sweat, a hint of astonishment in his eyes. He found that after dual cultivating with Lu Miaoyun, his clarity of mind and vision slightly improved. Although the sensation was weak and hard to detect, this wasn't their first time dual cultivating, so he was particularly sensitive to it. It made him think of the effects of the luminous sweet dew condensed by the luminous treasure tree. Applying the luminous sweet dew on the eyes could sharpen one's vision, enhancing spiritual eye-related techniques and divine skills. Husband, what's wrong? Lu Miaoyun lazily lay in Lu Changsheng's arms, her bewitching eyes soft, her cheeks flushed, and she asked in a gentle voice. Just now, I felt as if I experienced a slight improvement in mental clarity and vision, Lu Chongqing said softly. Then he pinned his wife beneath him again, ready to repeat the process several times, to determine if it was an illusion. Accompanied by soft moans, after several rounds of exertion, Lu Chongqing was sure it was not an illusion. Indeed, after dual cultivating with Lu Miaoyun, there was a slight effect on mental clarity and vision. However, this boost was almost negligible for him, and it would probably take many years to see a noticeable effect. Lu Chongqing didn't mind this and treated it as a little extra spice to their intimate moments. Half a month later. Sister Miaoga, this is your Tai True water bottle. From now on, you can temper it with your own mana and sculpt it, Lu Chongqing said. That day, Lu Miaoga came back and used Tai True water to nourish Ling Zixio's meridians and dantian. Lu Chongqing took out a bottle that appeared to be carved from mutton fat jade. It was the prototype of the Tai True water bottle. Thank you, husband. Seeing this, Lu Miaoga took the Tai True water bottle, her beautiful eyes shining with joy. Though the bottle had no offensive capabilities, it was effective for defense, breaking spells, protection, and storing Tai True water. Ordinary vessels couldn't store the Tai True water she condensed. But with the Tai True water bottle, she could store and even refine it. This was also the reason she chose to first refine the Tai True water bottle, rather than a Tai Chi talisman. Lu Chongqing looked at the elegant and extraordinarily beautiful Lu Miaoge in front of him, dressed in a white gown purer than snow, her demeanor otherworldly, with a transcendent aura, and he stroked his chin. Chongqing, what is it? Lu Miaoge, seeing Lu Chongqing suddenly scrutinize her like that, was somewhat puzzled. Sister Miaoge, stay here and don't move. Wait for me, Lu Chongqing said, before stepping out of the Mount Sumeru space, leaving the perplexed Lu Miaoge and Ling Zixiao behind. Shortly after, Lu Chongqing returned to Chongqing Hall, holding a branch shining like gold and jade. The branch was decorated with vibrant, emerald green leaves, full of life. Under the astonished gaze of both women, Lu Chongqing placed the branch he had picked from the Mount Sumeru Tree King into Lu Miaoge's Tai True water bottle and then nodded in satisfaction. Chongqing, what are you doing? Lu Miaoge was clueless why Lu Chongqing put a branch into her Tai True water bottle. Sister Miaoge, this is a branch from Mount Sumeru. It has calming and spirit-cleansing effects, which will be beneficial for you to keep close for a long time, Lu Chongqing said with a smile. Moreover, by storing Tai True water in the bottle, you can also nourish this branch, which will be helpful for you. He had suddenly decided to give Lu Miaoge a branch to add to her jade bottle simply because he saw his wife in a pure white robe, her aura sacred, carrying a clear jade bottle, which reminded him of a character from his previous life. He thought it would be nicer to add something to the bottle. As it turned out, the addition of the branch did indeed lend a divine touch to the jade bottle in Lu Miaoge's hand. If there was anything missing, it was indeed a cinnabar mole. If a cinnabar mole was added to Lu Miaoge's brow, combined with her holy disposition that seemed to embrace all things, it would be even more provocative. Okay, Lu Miaoge didn't overthink it, assuming it was a thoughtful gesture from Lu Chongqing, and happily agreed with a tone of indulgence. However, Ling Zixiao detected a bit of oddity, though she didn't express it. After all, with the addition of the branch to the bottle, it indeed looked far more colorful and attractive. Before long, another month had passed. During this month, Lu Changsheng's concubine became pregnant, bringing the total number of his children to 170. Chapter 754. The Effect of the Heavenly Longevity Technique, Heading to the White Jade Tower. Reflecting on his efficiency in childbearing over the past few years, Lu Chongqing exhaled and prepared to visit the White Jade Tower. In the early years when his family was just established and Ling Zixiao was grievously injured, with Xiaofan holding the fort at home, he really couldn't bring himself to visit the White Jade Tower. Moreover, the ordinary maids sold by the White Jade Tower all had lower-grade spiritual roots, which he no longer found impressive. To acquire maids with middle-grade or superior-grade spiritual roots, one had to either be a member or attend an auction. And now, it just so happened to be the day of the White Jade Tower's triennial auction. So, Lu Chongqing was preparing to broaden his horizons. He wanted to see what the auction at the White Jade Tower was like and whether it could meet his needs. 3 days later, after informing Ling Zixiao, Lu Chongqing secretly left by Lake Mountain and headed to the Nine Dragons Market. Considering his status as an elder of his family, Lu Chongqing slightly disguised his facial features and identity. After arriving at the White Jade Tower, he learned that the auction list wouldn't arrive for another half a month. And the auction was not an open one but a secret bid. Because the reach of the White Jade Tower was too broad. This auction was not just in the Nine Dragons Square, but throughout the entire Jiang country cultivation realm. Therefore, the White Jade Tower couldn't host such a large auction and had to proceed through a secret bidding process. Moreover, most cultivators didn't wish to show their faces at such auctions. Lu Chongqing didn't mind this and decided to stroll around the Nine Dragons Market. By Lake Mountain had several businesses in the Nine Dragons Market, but the business here could only be considered average. It hadn't picked up. In the process, Lu Chongqing saw the Jade Meal Pavilion, once belonging to his old friend Yu Maoqing. But because of his issues with the Yu family, the Jade Meal Pavilion had changed hands, and Yu Maoqing and his wife Yu Ningrong had left. Sigh! Lu Chongqing let out a sigh. The couple had worked hard in the Nine Dragons Market for many years, and their life was initially stable and good. But because of his incident with the Yu family, which led to their downfall, they chose to transfer the shop and leave the Nine Dragons market, living in anonymity. Yun Qianqian and Yu Ningrong used to correspond through letters, but after the incident with the Yu family colluding with the demon path, their relationship broke off, leaving no more letters exchanged. Half a month later, Lu Chongqing arrived at the White Jade Tower and looked at the auction list before him. There were a total of 108 maids for auction, each with their appearance, situation information, and starting bid price. Number 1, 27 years old, 8th level energy refinement, 3rd grade spiritual root. Starting bid, 10 superior grade spirit stones. Number 2, 32 years old, 9th level energy refinement, 3rd grade spiritual root. Starting bid, 10 superior grade spirit stones. Number 3, 41 years old, 9th level energy refinement, 3rd grade spiritual root. Starting bid, 10 superior grade spirit stones. Indeed worthy of the White Jade Tower. Such moves to actually have 3 with superior grade spiritual roots. Lu Chongqing commented as he roughly looked over the information on the auction list. Through their names one could quickly check their appearance. He took a brief look at these 3 individuals. Not to say they were national beauties, but they were certainly of high caliber. After all, most wouldn't be too ugly after entering cultivation. Furthermore, all were trained by the White Jade Tower. Even if originally of average looks, they would be taught beautifying and rejuvenating cultivation techniques. Although he was quite tempted by such prospects, he didn't really have the intention to bid. Too expensive. The starting bid alone was 10 superior grade spirit stones, which is to say 100,000 lower grade spirit stones. This price had already far exceeded his current spending capacity. Even though his business of selling symbols and refining elixirs was highly profitable, he still had limited financial resources when facing this kind of expenditure. And this was just the starting price. Compared to superior grade spiritual roots, the price of 4th grade spiritual roots dropped to a much more affordable level. The cheapest starting bid was only 30,000 spirit stones. The highest starting bid was just 50,000 spirit stones, which was half the price of 3rd grade spiritual roots. Then, for 5th grade spiritual roots, the price was halved again, with a starting bid between 10,000 and 20,000. The starting bids for 6th grade spiritual roots ranged from 5,000 to 10,000. Inside, there were many more maids with lower grade spiritual roots. Those who could enter the auction with lower grade spiritual roots were either top choices in looks and figure or had exceptional talents in some areas. Therefore, even the cheapest with 9th grade spiritual roots had a starting price of 1,000 spirit stones. After roughly reviewing, Lu Chongqing inquired about the usual closing prices for these auctions in previous years. The administrator told him that for lower grade spiritual roots, the competition wasn't too fierce. Bids generally went 20% higher than the base price, and one was likely to win the bid. Competition for a few with superior grade spiritual roots was much fiercer. Because these served as the highlight of the White Jade Tower's auctions, many people competed for them. As to why the competition was so fierce, the administrator named Xia didn't delve into details. But Lu Chongqing had a rough idea. Geniuses with superior grade spiritual roots were very useful. Besides the most common uses as furnaces or breeding, there were more brutal methods, such as cultivating corpses, or after raising them, using some demon path methods to seize their spiritual roots, or even waiting until they established a foundation to snatch their Tao foundation. After all, with superior grade spiritual roots, as long as one is willing to invest time, with a bit of cultivation, establishing a foundation is highly likely. Save whoever I can, Lu Chongqing sighed. Looking into the eyes of these women, which shone with no glimmer of hope, he knew what they had endured. Most of them were ill-fated. Even after so many years in the cultivation world, he still hadn't changed his soft-hearted nature. Calculating the spirit stones he had available for discretionary spending, Lu Chongqing finally set a budget of 50,000 spirit stones for himself. Because any more than that, and he would have to sell too many spirit stones and elixirs. Immediately, Lu Chongqing placed bids on 3 5th grade spiritual roots and 1 6th grade spiritual root. All were relatively low-priced, but he marked them up by about 40%. To ensure a significant chance of acquiring them, he just managed to spend the 50,000 spirit stones. For the current auction, deposits had to be paid up front, and it would be a month before the secret bidding came to an end and notifications would be sent out. Hearing this, Lu Chongqing didn't wait in the Nine Dragons market. After paying the deposits, he returned to buy Lake Mountain. Because this year marked the Lu family's annual Grand Assembly. And this year, he planned to finalize the position of the family head at the Grand Assembly and start sending some of his children to manage the businesses outside the family. Chapter 755. Heaven Rank Demon Plant. Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. _1 by Lake Mountain. Lu Family Mansion. Council Hall. At present, the family has 316 members, 3 foundation establishment cultivators, 4 at the energy refinement late stage, 34 at the energy refinement middle stage, 16 at the energy refinement initial stage. Lu Chongqing sat in the main seat, listening calmly to his wife Lu Miao's summary. Unconsciously, the number of members in his Lu family had already surpassed 300. Moreover, out of the 316 family members, there were 57 cultivators. This ratio was truly astonishing. The reason there were so many cultivators, particularly in the qi refinement middle stage, was entirely because his 21 wives and concubines were all at this cultivation level. As for the children, 13 had currently broken through to the qi refinement middle stage, and 16 were at the qi refinement initial stage. This year's income totaled 31,143, expenditures totaled 35,665, with family stipends accounting for 70% of the expenses. Lu Miaoyun continued to report. Inside the hall, everyone felt somewhat heavy-hearted upon hearing that there was a deficit once again, without a profit. After all, for more than 4 years, By Lake Mountain had remained in a state of loss without reversing the situation to a profit. The main reason for the losses, the major expenses, was something all those present were well aware of. Lu Chongqing himself felt rather unconcerned by this, thinking that to have such a result over 4 years wasn't too bad. After all, in his view, expenditures on starting a family and having children were essential, and in the long run, they were definitely profitable. However, these family expenses did not take into account the costs of the Divine Wood Great Formation, the Oceanic Formation, training Dao soldiers, and so on. Otherwise, the expenses would be even more exaggerated. There has been improvement in the income compared to last year, aiming to break even next year. Lu Chongqing chuckled, tapped the table and said, "Next, I have 2 matters to discuss. For the past few years, our family has been in a semi-secluded state which made many businesses inconvenient to manage. Therefore, starting from this year, Lu family disciples who reach the age of 18 and break through to the 4th level energy refinement can apply to go out and manage business ventures." Lu Chongqing looked toward his wives and children and said aloud, "Apply to go out and manage business ventures?" Some of the Lu family disciples exchanged glances, their eyes shining with joy. Although no one complained during the 4 years of seclusion, some Lu family disciples still had some discontent in their hearts. After all, at their age, they were in the prime of their life, full of yearning for the outside world and naturally wanted to explore more. Not to mention traveling and gaining experience. Growing up in Qingzhou Mountain and by Lake Mountain with many rules and constraints at home, they would feel bored and long for the outside world. Moreover, many wives and children realized that this was another opportunity to perform well after hearing these words. As for going out for practice, one must reach the 6th level energy refinement to apply. Lu Chongqing continued. Lu Chuanjin had previously expressed the desire to venture out for practice, and certainly, he wasn't the only one with such thoughts. Therefore, he also directly set the rule, fixing the cultivation level at the 6th level energy refinement. For the children in the family at present, this level was neither high nor low, generally around 25 years old, and they also had a certain level of experience. Finally, it is about the matter of the family head. Lu Chongqing looked down at his children and said aloud. Currently, the family affairs were divided finely, with everyone having specific duties, and Lu Miaoyun generally coordinated the handling of trivial matters. Some major decisions, on the other hand, were made by him and Ling Zixiao. But now that the family had decided to open the mountain gate, whether it was dealing with family trifles or business, or interacting with other families, there needed to be one person, that is, the patriarch of the Lu family. The family head? Upon hearing these words, many concubines and children looked surprised and exchanged glances, turning their eyes to Lu Pingon, Lu Chuanjin, and Lu Yun. Although the Lu family did not emphasize too much the difference between legitimate and illegitimate children, still, in the eyes of many concubines and children, there was a distinction. After all, although Lu Chongqing treated all his children equally in terms of welfare and treatment, in everyday life, he still had obvious favorites. Lu Pinggan, Lu Chuanjun, and Lu Yun were born to his first wife, and being relatively older, they were favored by Lu Chongqing, so most people guessed that the choice of family head would be from among them. Now, our Lu family's first family head will be Lu Yun. Lu Chongqing did not hold a vote but directly looked at his son Lu Yun and spoke. The choice of Lu Yun was partly because his sons Lu Pinggan and Lu Chuanjun had no intention of taking on the role of family head. Another reason was capability. Lu Yun, despite lacking decisiveness and boldness, performed well under the guidance of Lu Miaoyun. As family head, with the help of his mother Lu Miaoyun in the early stages, he would at least not create any problems. Besides, this son did have his strong points. At least diligent and obedient, he was a role model in terms of marrying and having children. He already had a wife, 3 concubines, and 3 children to his name. Although he could not compare with his own father. But amongst his children with spiritual roots, he was doing quite well. Thank you, father. Your son will definitely not fail your expectations, nor those of everyone. Upon hearing this, Lu Yun took a deep breath and got up, bowing with excitement and nervousness. Although the role of family head in a cultivation family differed from that in the secular world, becoming family head was equivalent to almost giving up on the path to immortality, as much time had to be spent on daily trivial matters, with little hope of reaching foundation establishment. However, the status and power of the family head were undeniable. Congratulations, Brother Yun. Congratulations, Yun Ji. Greetings to the family head. Some immediately congratulated Lu Yun. Perform well. The position of the family head is a 5-year term, serving a maximum of 4 terms. I will judge based on the performance of each term, rewarding good service abundantly and allowing continuation in the position. If not done well, then the person will be replaced. Understand? Lu Chongqing mentally called out. Instantly, a pale red prize wheel emerged bathed in golden light, beginning to spin for the draw, eventually coming to a stop on the pet section. Ding! Congratulations to the host for obtaining a spiritual pet. Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Reward has been delivered to the system space. Host can check at any time. An image of a sinister black flower with a blood-red aura emerged from the prize wheel, accompanied by a system notification sound. Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. A demonic plant? Lu Changsheng's eyes lit up upon seeing this reward. Although he wasn't much interested in pets, the exception was definitely plant-based spiritual pets. Indeed, through the Mount Sumeru Tree King, he knew that this kind of demonic plant could also be used to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. Right away, Lu Chongqing looked into the system space. Demon Beast, Abyssal Ghoul Blossom. Rank: Heaven rank upper grade. Description: evolved from the soul of a 5th-rank great demon from the netherworlds, born from the nourishment of countless beings' fresh blood, feeds on flesh, souls, and possesses a prison within its belly, capable of imprisoning beings, currently has the strength of 2nd rank. Hiss, Heaven rank upper grade? And it has 2nd rank strength? Seeing the rank and description of the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom before him, Lu Chongqing couldn't hide his elation. Both the rank and the strength made him feel that the Abyssal Ghoul Blossom was quite a catch. If there were any problem, it would be that it looked somewhat sinister. Birthed by the nourishment of living blood, it feeds on flesh and souls. Doesn't this mean that this demonic flower doesn't require a spirit vein spiritual energy, and would do just fine with enough flesh and blood? If that's the case, planting this Abyssal Ghoul Blossom wouldn't add too much pressure to the current situation of by Lake Mountain. I just don't know if this demonic flower can be used to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique. Lu Chongqing saw the demonic plant in the system space and murmured to himself. He planned to give this demonic plant to Lu Miaohuan or Chu Zhenzhen to cultivate the heaven and earth longevity technique.
Through Lu Miao's cultivation of the heaven and earth longevity technique, he knew that after refining a heavenly spirit plant into one's life-bound spiritual root, other than a certain degree of influence on the plant's growth, there would not be any other significant problems.
And as a demonic plant with a heavenly grade bloodline, the abyssal ghoul blossom would certainly meet the requirements for cultivating the heaven and earth longevity technique. If used for cultivation, the effects might be even better than the luminous treasure tree. However, this abyssal ghoul blossom might be more suitable for Huan Huan? Lu Chongqing stroked his chin.